Why, hello. Welcome to the Captain's Cast. With me, your host, Captain Garrett of the Swords and Starships channel. And season's greetings to you, my dear sailors and starnauts, and a Merry Christmas. Of course, I am dressed for the occasion. We are T-minus 5 days to our old pal Jesus's first, how many thousand birthdays is it now, Mr. Producer? I don't know, but it's a lot. And so his birthday's coming up. So we're hanging out. We're having some fun. I have seen Avatar, Fire and Ash, Folie à Deux. And my thoughts about this film, like the film itself, are not complex. I have a lot of thoughts about this. I was a giant fan of the first film. But the strange thing is, the critiques of the first film have been accumulating as these additional sequels are added. And I have to tell you, I think that this third film is entirely pointless. And we're going to talk about it. It's a big sign of why. I'm not sure. I'm in a vacation setup here, so I have to readjust a little bit. But I think it sheds a lot of light on why these films are not culturally relevant, and they just are never going to be. So we'll talk about that, my dear sailors and starnauts. We have Supergirl Crash Out. Supergirl, it's interesting. I think I'm ready to call this one. I think Supergirl is going to be a total disaster. I was in the theater with normies, and I noticed there were some very meh reactions to the Supergirl trailer, which was kind of intriguing. And the shills are unhappy about it. So we may have a teeny bit of grave dancing to do, but we'll talk about that later. And I have seen the Odyssey trailer. I saw the Odyssey clip. I got to tell you, the best part of the 3 hours and 16 minutes of Avatar 3 Folie à Deux was the Odyssey trailer. That was the best part of that 3 hours. Now, another thing we need to talk about. We have Fallout 2. I did not even know that Fallout 2 was out until literally today. Today I saw in my YouTube feed that someone was commenting on Fallout Season 2, and I was like, did that thing come out? Is it just me, or is no one even talking about this? No one cares about it. So I watched about half of the episode of Season 2, Episode 1. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to watch more of it. It probably doesn't help that I'm watching Pluribus, which I know I haven't talked about Pluribus a lot, but that's for a reason. But it probably doesn't help that Pluribus is just typically of Vince Gilligan, an excellent, character-driven, fascinating show that is, I cannot wait for every episode. It's no help that I've been watching a show written by talented professionals. Such that when I watch Fallout Season 2, I'm like, I don't think I fully appreciated how stupid this show really is. This show is so dumb. It's exactly what I said about the first season, only worse. This show has nothing to say about the post-apocalypse. It is pointless. And you know something? Avatar is not real science fiction. James Cameron styles himself as a science fiction filmmaker. Perhaps there was a time when he was. I don't think he's very interested in science fiction. I don't think he's very interested in characters. I don't think he's very interested in telling a story. So we got a lot to talk about, my dear sailors and starnuts. But first, to you. Michael Archangel says, let's go. Hell yes. Fu Man says, all aboard. That would be Fu Man Blue. Redoubt Productions is in the chat and says, I am sick, so I cannot speak, but that does not stop me from typing in the chat. That's correct, Redoubt Productions. We will nurse you back to health. So you grab some chicken noodle soup and some dino bites and snuggle up in a blanket and let the captain take care of all the rest. Crowbar the Skull says, "Hail, Captain and fellow sailors. Hail, Crowbar. Good to have you aboard." Michael Archangel says, "I was wondering where you were going with that." With what, I wonder? Fu Man Blue, Crowbar the Skull, Michael Archangel, all here. Frantic only because my son is back from college, says Michael Archangel. Decided to invite 15 of his closest friends over for food and drinks. My God. My God. Get them all to like and subscribe to Captain's Cast. What am I wearing, Redoubt Productions? It's impressive, isn't it? Isn't it incredible? It's the holiday season, Redoubt. It's necessary to dress the part. Christmas cheer. Yes, Starfury is in the chat. Says, "Hello, everyone." Hello, Starfury. I hope you saw my post in the Discord. I may have posted about my adventures going to frolic forever with the Na'vi. Starfury's going to like this episode, I think. I think Starfury's going to enjoy this episode because the captain... I have soured quite a bit on the Avatar franchise. I think this is my last one. I think this is the last one I'm actually going to go see because, you know, it's so amazing. Over the last 10, 15 years, I've gone on this journey with every franchise I still had hope for. I still had hope for Star Trek, you know, back in the J.J. Abrams reboot days. I had hope for Star Wars when Force Awakens was the only sequel, and we had Force Awakens and Rogue One, and I had hope for Star Wars. I had hope for, I'm sure, many others that don't come to mind at the moment, but I had so much hope that Avatar was going to tell a story at over the course of, I don't know, 5 or 6 films in which something was going to happen or be resolved. And I now realize that these films are becoming less and less necessary as each one goes by. I'm going to tell you that this has been going around the internet about Avatar 3, Folie à Deux, that it is an exact repeat of the previous 2 films. It may not exactly be a repeat of the first. I would argue the first film had the best story structure. It had a story structure, however thin. But it has been going around that the third film is an exact copy of the second film. And you know what? It's exactly correct. This is, if you've seen the second Avatar film, you are watching it again. If you watch Avatar 3. Avatar 3 begins with everything exactly as it was left in Avatar 2, and it ends exactly where everything began in Avatar 3. The ending of Avatar 3 is the beginning of Avatar 3. And I sat through 3 hours of this and I thought, what is the point of this? Nothing has been advanced. Nothing has been resolved. We don't know anything more about Earth. We don't know anything more about the people of either side. Jake Sully, let me tell you the plot of an Avatar movie, okay? Here's the plot of an Avatar movie. Jake Sully runs away for 2.5 hours and desperately tries to convince everyone that they have to hide, surrender, avoid fighting at all costs, do absolutely nothing, risk nothing, until in the last 30 minutes, he is forced to fight Quaritch, and he fights Quaritch, Quaritch gets away, and everything ends where it began. That is the plot of every single Avatar film. Honestly, I think that James Cameron doesn't... see, this is the mistake that I always make. I'm getting red-pilled here. I'm getting red-pilled on the Avatar films. The mistake that I make is thinking the way I would think as a writer, which is I'm interested in seeing the clash of these two worlds resolved and advanced. James Cameron's not interested in that. He doesn't give a crap about that. All James Cameron cares about is little crab submarines and big ships and crying about whales. He doesn't care about telling a story about a man who's interesting. He doesn't care about any kind of epic battle that resolves anything. He's not interested in the state of humanity. Humans are scum, and they are fucking stupid in this. They are so dumb. They're literally, hunt the whales. We're hunting the whales. Get some. They are so stupid. And it's really draining. It's really draining at this. You know what's funny is I went to see it because I'm visiting for the holidays, so my mom came with me, and she's watching this movie, and she got a little bit sad about the whale. There's a whale in the movie that's been shot up and wounded and blinded and just tortured, and she was getting real sad about it. And I was like, I'm kind of past all that with these movies. Like, I didn't care. I felt nothing because I've seen this already. It doesn't have a point. I don't understand what the point of watching the slow torture and death of Pandora is. What is the point of that? That's all you're doing when you go to an Avatar film. You are watching pretty pictures set to the backdrop of the slow torture and death of Pandora. That's all. Nothing else is accomplished in these movies. Nothing. I guess we're just going to get into my Avatar 3 Folie à Deux review. How many brain cells did you lose watching Fallout, says Star Fury? Well, I didn't have many left after Avatar, but yeah, it's not good. It's a wonder I can speak. Post-apocalypse bad. No, it's not even... Don't even get me started on Fallout. Fallout is such trash. It is such glossy garbage. That's exactly what it is. It's glossy garbage. Oh, that was in the game. Oh, that was in the game. That's all. I know that. That's Nuka-Cola. That's in the game. Fallout is for modern audience retards. Okay? It's for retards. Now, I know that there are probably people out there who are watching Fallout and they're thinking, but it's so accurate. The vaults look like the vaults. The ghoul is like a ghoul. And they referenced New Vegas. And it's like, yeah, that's all it is. It's just references. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't mean anything. But worse, it's like if you just take away the fact that it's based on the video game and just make it its own thing, like Rebel Moon, or actually, rather, I should... no, not like Rebel Moon. Like Kurtzman's Star Trek, like The Acolyte, it's too stupid to exist without the IP that preceded it. It doesn't serve a purpose. So yeah, Fallout Season 2 is absolute garbage. Garbage. The first scene is garbage. The second scene is even worse garbage. The first scene is a backstory with Robert House testing a new device in a bar fight. I'm going to have to do videos on this because that first scene is so dumb and there's so much plot armor for Robert House in this first scene. Now, the sad part of it, and this is why I say it's glossy garbage. Okay, that's an important distinction. There's The Acolyte, which is just garbage, and then there's Fallout, which is glossy garbage. In other words, or Avatar 3, Folie à Deux, which is also glossy garbage. It looks pretty. It seems to have elements you like, such as great actors or whatever it is, but it's garbage. So the first scene has this actor playing Robert House, and he plays him like a classic 1950s, like titan of industry, and he's so good. It's like the actor playing this part is so delightful in this role. The problem is the writing is so stupid that it's like getting a lobotomy. And then the second scene takes place in the little, I forget what it's called, but it's that little hotel with the dinosaur, the little dinosaur statue that's from the Fallout New Vegas game. And it's between Lucy and the ghoul, and it's supposed to be like a fun little set piece of like the ghoul and Lucy dealing with some raiders. And it's such millennial humor garbage. Oh my God, her character, I said in the first season that I liked Lucy and I thought she was sort of likable. I now withdraw that statement. She is a classic millennial character. She says stupid, tactically idiotic things every 5 seconds. Nothing she says is a smart thing to say in the post-apocalypse. Nothing she does is effective in a post-apocalyptic environment, but the plot prevents her from suffering the consequences of any of that. It's insufferable. So, yeah, it's absolute garbage. Redoubt Productions. We have a super... Oh, my God. Hold the phone. Fu Man Blue. Fu Man Blue. Ladies and gentlemen. Hang on. Let me... Hey, we need a couple of things, Mr. Producer. We need a couple of things. The first thing we need is music. That's right. Fu Man Blue with a $100 super chat says, well, it's that time of year again. Time to say Merry Christmas and thank you. So thanks for all of the entertainment. It's been a crazy year. Love the shirt. The only thing missing is a giant bib. Yes, I forgot to pack it, Fu Man Blue, and that's my fault. Just say no to eggnog stains. Much love to the captain and to the chat. Why, thank you, Fu Man Blue. It is my honor, sir. It is my honor to serve you, my beloved audience. We're small but mighty. And I promise you, if I'm neglecting my channel, it's because I'm working on a higher priority, which is Galaxy Born. So we have great things coming in the new year. So thank you, Fu Man Blue. I appreciate it. That is very generous. And you've done that, I think, 2 years in a row now. So I really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. That's for you, sir. You gotta... How's that? How is that? And it's on loop. There we go. All right, there it is. Redoubt Production says, honestly, I've not been able to speak without coughing all day, so getting to be part of the chat is the sweet relief of my noggin of thoughts. Truly, I have no mouth and I must scream. Oh, man, we're going all cosmic horror there. Jeez. Well, just stick with us, Redoubt. We won't steer you wrong. Stoff Hitty says, about fucking time. I hated the Na'vi from moment one. Humans had mechs. Any faction with mechs should win by default. Yeah, no, I will say that it's such a bizarre paradox with James Cameron. He's essentially written 3 films now which exist to argue that human beings are insane and have invented all of these evil technologies that poison and destroy the beauty and wonder of nature. And literally all of our technology and science is inflicting misery and horror on not only our planet, but other planets now. And it's sort of like a disease and a virus spreading across the galaxy. Yet he loves all that stuff. He loves all of the mechs and the boats and the technology. And here's what I would say. James Cameron, this is what occurred to me as I'm watching Avatar 3. Folie à deux. James Cameron is such a brilliant technical filmmaker. He is such an excellent director. He is so remarkably proficient at blocking action scenes and creating sort of credible action scene blocking that it's not necessary for him to actually have a plot, a character arc, or an actual story in his films for them to be successful. That's a rare achievement. He should get the Lifetime Achievement Award for that. Because let me tell you something. It is very, very difficult to be a successful filmmaker who makes films that rake in cash, hand over fist, almost without anyone even knowing they came out, in which there's no story, no meaningful character growth or change, and no story arc to speak of. That's impressive, folks. That's a hell of an achievement. Hell of an achievement. I'm serious. I may sound like I'm being ironic. No, I'm dead serious about this. That's freaking impressive. Because I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, this film has nothing in terms of a meaningful story. It has nothing to offer for a science fiction fan. Oh my God, I almost forgot. There's a line in the movie. Do you remember how I told you about how modern science fiction always does this? A character's about to explain something interesting. Perfect example, the Halo TV show. Dumb, head-shaved girl boss chick that nobody asked for to be in this story, who's now riding alongside Master Chief, played by Buttface. That would be Pablo Schreiber. And they're at hyperlight speeds. They're at faster than light speeds. And she asks him, are we really traveling faster than light or something like that? And he says, well, not exactly. Think of the universe as a ball of yarn. And our engine is like, boring. And she cuts him off, right? And I'm like, and watch for this. Almost every science fiction show, the Marvel movies, superhero films, big offender, a character's about to explain something like that, they cut him off. That happened in Avatar. There's literally a scene where a scientist is about to explain what's going on that's making something possible in the film. And so, no, shut up. I don't want to hear about that. Just tell me if we can get what we want. I'm so sick of it. Starfury says, about fucking time. I hated the Na'vi from moment one. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I got that. Humans had it's worth reading again, Starfury. And look, you're going to be very pleased, Starfury. I've finally come around. Michael Archangel, just like The Matrix, it only needed the first movie. I mean, I sort of disagree. It's so bizarre. I don't understand how you undertake to make 5 films and nothing in this world changes. Do you realize that the focus of the final act of Avatar 3, Folie à deux, was the hunting of the whales again? Again! It was about a battle over the stupid whales. Why? Because they want money. What? Who cares? Who cares? I want to know what's going to happen to Earth. I want to know if Jake Sully is going to find a way to defeat the Sky People. I want to know if Pandora is going to ever mount some kind of defense, or if it's just going to die. Let's just have that happen. I think that James Cameron created a fantasy world he enjoys in which everything is fucking miserable. And that's what he wants. He just wants to have season 3, 4, 5, and 6 in film format in which we just wander around this planet and feel bad about stuff. That's all it is. There's not going to be any meaningful discussion of science fiction technology a la The Expanse. There's not going to be any climactic battle over survival a la Battlestar Galactica. There's not going to be any interesting, meaningful moral philosophizing about humanity and its place in its universe and whether people can change a la Star Trek. And there's never going to be any fun escapist adventure a la Star Wars. It is just going to be movie after movie after movie of Jake Sully whining, running away, watching a bunch of whales get gutted, and then finally having to fight back. And then we end where it all began. And we're just going to do this every couple of years for a while. What is the point of that? I don't understand the point of that. This is why these movies have no cultural footprint, because they have, like Fallout, the show, they have nothing to say. Nothing. Now, there are some things in the film I enjoyed. Colonel Miles Quaritch, played by Stephen Lang magnificently, is the only truly noteworthy performance in these films. He is the best character in the films. He's the most interesting. He's the only antagonist who is not a drooling, stupid retard. Folks, these humans are stupid. in these movies. They are dumb. And you know something? Jake Sully and the Na'vi are dumb. Fucking morons. They do the obviously stupid thing in every situation, and the only reason they have a chance is that the humans are even dumber than they are. The only character that's intelligent, tactical, and has a plan is Quaritch. But here's the problem. Quaritch has now been defeated over the course of like 3 films. He's been defeated by Jake Sully like 7 times. It's pathetic. He's been defeated 7 times. Literally, he catches Jake Sully once in this film and Jake Sully gets away, and then he goes and tries to catch him a second time and he gets away. And I'm thinking to myself, it's so bizarre to have a scene in Avatar 3, in which the general, who's a woman, of course. Like, women are the leaders of everything in these films now. Like, you have the goddess, the matriarch, the female general. You have the mother of the whale clan. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The whales are led by the great matriarch. Jeez. And everything's going to shit, by the way. But you have a scene in which the general is dressing down Quaritch for having failed to catch Jake Sully, and he's pleading and he's telling her, no, my mission is to go get Jake Sully. It's like, you've literally failed twice under this general already, and the movie's not even over. You failed in the last film, and you just failed in this film. He's literally caught the guy 3 times at this point in the film, and he's gotten away every single time. It's becoming Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. So even the most interesting character in the movie is essentially an idiot, an incompetent boob. Star Fury says the movie won't make $750 million. This franchise is screwed. Okay, I'm going to check that out. Also, hang on a second. Let me drop some gifted memberships. Merry Christmas. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Merry Christmas, everyone, says Fu Man. I have a nosebleed because of the positive sentiment. I need medication, said Star Fury. Well, you better get that looked at, Star Fury. Redoubt Productions isn't the only one we're nursing back to health in this chat. NyQuil, Theraflu, Vicks Vapor Rub, and whiskey, says Redoubt Productions. Oh, boy. Fu Man, the honor is mine. Thank you, Fu Man Blue. I appreciate it. You did get special music. I had that on tap. Suck on that, peasants. Fu Man Blue, that's right. Fu Man Blue has set the bar high, fellas. What else we got? Redoubt says, but all over his other movies preceding the Avatar franchise have great story arcs. Does not make Avatar impressive. Makes it all the more infuriating to endure. I don't know exactly what explains that, Redoubt. There's no less than 6 writers working on Avatar over the course of a decade and a half, and this is the best he can come up with. I don't understand the mindset of essentially James Cameron is committed. At this point, it's looking like 2 decades of his life. Maybe the last of his life's work will be poured into this franchise, and it has nothing to say that's meaningful. I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. And I think it's because James Cameron likes things, not people. I think he's an engineer at heart, and he enjoys the gear porn, but I don't think he really cares about telling a meaningful story. Or it's just he has a fetish for watching this poor planet get tortured with nothing ever improving. I think he just enjoys that. Let's watch the slow death of Pandora. Well, I'm done with that. I really am. I thought that you were trying to tell a story about clashes of civilization, about humanity, and whether it was... it's so strange to watch Jake Sully trying to convince Colonel Quaritch, which, by the way, these are some of the only really interesting scenes in the movie. He tries to convince Colonel Quaritch to see the beauty and wonder of Pandora, because Quaritch is now living in a Na'vi body and has actually kind of experienced some miraculous things on the planet. And he's trying to like justify his treason against humanity. But there's never a counter argument. There's never a good argument against Jake Sully betraying humanity. And I think that undermines the human story, because it's weird that Jake Sully tries to express how much he cares about this planet, but he never takes responsibility for what he's cost his own species. He argues against Na'vi racism against humans, yet does nothing to like convince humans to see the beauty of the planet or to find some kind of diplomatic solution. He never offers anything. Jake Sully really is kind of a dumb guy. He doesn't care. He doesn't think very deeply about things. He doesn't really care about really Earth. And he honestly doesn't give much of a shit about the Na'vi either. He only cares about his family. And you can argue, well, that's how it is when you're a father. Okay, fine. But I'm willing to bet that there are men who are fathers with families who also do care about larger issues affecting, I feel like caring about your civilization, your community, and your species, those things are about caring about your family. Because if you do nothing to take care of your country, then you're not going to have a country. And then your family are not going to have protection. They're not going to have peace and civilization. So if you care about your family, you must care a little bit about the fate of your society. And Jake Sully doesn't give a shit. He's happy to watch villages burn. He's happy to watch the whales be slaughtered. He's happy to watch absolutely everything go to shit as long as his immediate family can survive another day. It's pathetic. Really pathetic. I really dislike it a lot. I'm really bummed. I'm going to be honest with you. I enjoy the world that Cameron has created with the Avatar films, and I really was interested in seeing more detail and seeing more nuance, and I'm getting less every time. It's a real bummer. The amazing thing is, you might look at how critical I am of things like the Fallout show and Kurtzman Trek and Disney Star Wars and think I just hate everything. And it's like, honestly, these critiques come from a place of love. I love the original 6 films of Star Wars. I'm a giant Star Trek fan of the original 5 series. I really loved that first Avatar film, and I mostly loved Avatar Way of Water. So my critiques are coming from a place of frustration. I wanted these things to achieve greatness, and they have failed. Crowbar with a member message. Oh, the captain's new shirt is frightful. Frightful? Why, no, that can't be correct, Crowbar. The intention of my shirt is to provide holiday cheer, comfort, and joy. Quote, but his stream is so delightful. Oh, thank you, Crowbar the Skull. So since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. He'd figured out how to make money and spread his personal politics, says Fu Manblue of James Cameron. He cares not one iota for storytelling. Michael Archangel, welcome to the ensign level. Oh, no, he's not a red shirt anymore. He's not a red shirt. This presents a problem. Bones. If I need something investigated over there in a dark corner where we're not sure what something is lurking in that corner, whom shall I send? I can't send me. I'm the captain. I need a solution, Bones. I need a red shirt. Find me a red shirt. Michael Archangel says, I finally found enough money. No red shirt for me, bitches. Welcome aboard, sir. You may now join the senior staff-only meetings. Fu Man Blue says, get that man a blue shirt. Welcome out of the pit, a peon no more. So much love going Michael Archangel's way. Redoubt Production says, eventually Quaritch will die and come back as Stonewall Jackson in Avatar 15. I know you hoped that, Redoubt. I hate to spoil the ending to Avatar 3. Folie à deux. However, literally the way Avatar 2 ended was Quaritch is beaten by Jake Sully, thought to be dead, but actually survives. Avatar 3, Folie à deux, begins with Quaritch it's like he died on a previous save and he just resumed game and is taking another shot at Sully, and he goes right back to hunting Sully, fails, comes back, goes out, hunts him again, fails, and appears dead. And I'm like, literally, this film ended where the second one ended. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Nothing is different at all. It's like, even the first movie had some kind of, change happened in the first movie. I mean, the status quo shifted. I think James Cameron hired a bunch of kind of dumb woke writers and just said, write me stuff. And he fucked off to go play with his toys. I think that's what this is. He's filming his underwater stuff. He's making his ships. He's creating his little mechs. He's making the blue people look more blue. And he doesn't give a crap about anything else. And the writers over there are stuffing the script with a bunch of matriarchs. And and off we go. That's it. Oh my God. I cannot even believe this. So it literally, the third film is an exact replica of the second film, right down to the pregnant chick fighting in battle. But it's even better than that, because in the second film, the pregnant chick fighting in battle is one thing, but in the third film, she's literally going into labor. And they this is stated in the film, that she's having contractions, and then she goes into battle while in labor and having contractions. What the fuck is wrong with modern writers? What is wrong with them? There's something wrong with them. Fu Man Blue says it's pretty quiet in the alehouse now that Redoubt Productions can't speak. K-pop karaoke in the alehouse, says Michael Archangel. Why was Capms so conflicted that I'm not a redshirt anymore? Well, I'll tell you, Michael Archangel, because when I need something scary investigated, whom shall I send? I don't know who to send now. Almost like you were cannon fodder? Well, no. You have your Starfleet training. Fu Man Blue says, I'm not sure why, Michael Archangel. I think he was concerned that there wouldn't be any more red shirts to send into the scary dark corners ahead of the away team. Yes, exactly. It's not a guarantee that the monster will eat the first red shirt. There's a chance that the monster won't be hungry that day. All right, so I have some bookmarks on Avatar Folie à deux, and I thought we would investigate those. Let me grab my browser. No, I need the browser, Mr. Producer. I'm operating on one monitor today, gentlemen, so if you'll forgive me, and possible ladies, theoretical ladies. I need my share screen. There we go. Okay, so we have a couple of thoughts on Avatar. Here's one from an account, Tristan S. Rapp, and he says that I saw this before I watched the film, and I can confirm this is basically accurate. He says this is probably the first movie I have seen in years that literally does not have a plot. The movie seems to think it has a plot. Cameron probably thinks it has a plot, but I'm here to tell you that it does, in fact, not have one. Now, what I will say the plot of this film amounts to, both of the previous two films, Avatar 2 and Avatar 3, Folie à Deux, they amount to a dude with a problem story. Jake Sully's out there living life and things are great. And then something bad happens and he spends the whole movie having to deal with it. That's basically the movie. The third film, it's basically the same deal. So they make a really stupid decision which results in a bunch of things happening to them, and they have to deal with it, and it's 3 hours of that. So he's basically right. Nothing gets advanced or changed. No questions about Earth are answered. There's no hint of what's going to happen to Pandora other than it's just, they're going to continue to hunt the whales. I find it interesting. There's this account, Film Updates. I find it interesting that they point out James Cameron says he doesn't think about the Academy Awards as... Well, he doesn't think about them because they don't tend to honor sci-fi films, naming Denis Villeneuve's Dune movies as examples. Now, this is notable because this is what Cameron says, quote, I don't think about the Academy Awards that much intentionally. They don't tend to honor sci-fi films, and he's right about that. It's almost never properly recognized. Denis Villeneuve made these two magnificent Dune films. Apparently, these films made themselves because he wasn't considered as a director, close quote. Now, what I find interesting about that is James Cameron is exactly correct. The Dune films are brilliant, and ostensibly, like Avatar, they are about a climactic titanic struggle between civilizations. They are sci-fi films, written by a science fiction writer, Frank Herbert. Avatar is not a science fiction film. Avatar hates scientific inquiry. Avatar has no interest in exploring questions about the human or, as the case may be, Na'vi condition. Avatar films are pretty pictures. That's what they are. So I find it interesting that he can correctly identify that science fiction films are not ever going to be celebrated or honored in the Academy Awards, and the Academy Awards, of course, are worthless and don't actually have anything to offer the general public. Yet he fails to recognize that he does not himself any longer produce science fiction films. Avatar's not science fiction. Avatar, at this point, is glossy garbage. That's what it is. It's entertaining, amusing, nothing. James Cameron has spent a decade and a half of his life and will soon have spent 2 decades of his life creating films that have nothing to say. He has effectively built a monument to nothing. The Little Platoon had a really good critique here. And he says, I am generally against genociding indigenous populations, but I will make an exception for the Na'vi. We could have nuked them from orbit and saved ourselves 9.5 hours of wanky, pretentious fish tank screensaver masquerading as an epic. You could shove the entirety of the Avatar trilogy, the entirety of the Avatar trilogy's plot into 45 minutes, and it'd still seem light on story. And you'd still have to invent a whole cast of characters because James Cameron was too busy being the last person on Earth who gets hard for 3D to bother writing any. Shit in 3D is still shit, James. It just looks closer to your face. Close quote. That is an extraordinarily accurate assessment of the problem with this film. And I will just add this. So, since I went to see it with my mom, I got her thoughts on it, and she was like, I remember that first film being really impressive, and this one wasn't that impressive to me. I didn't think the visuals were very interesting, and I thought, well, see, now that's interesting you say that, because we've had films like this now for, the first Avatar film came out like 20 years ago. Now we've seen all of these Avengers movies, all these CGI slop fest. It's not interesting anymore. Just having bioluminescent blue people is not that visually impressive anymore. So you're going to need to have a story if these films are to have any real long-term success. Let me just check something here. Avatar, Fire and Ash. Why do I call it Avatar Foliadu? Well, two reasons. One, because any film that reminds me of the pointlessness of Joker, Foliadu, gets the title Foliadu. In other words, corporate crash grab without any meaningful reason to exist. That's what Foliadu now comes to mean. But the actual meaning of the phrase Foliadu is madness shared between two, which, and it's specifically in a romantic context, which is interesting because Quaritch winds up in a crazed, insane relationship with the Fire Ash Tribe warrior chick, who is actually one of the more interesting parts of the film because she's just a crazy Joker character, and it's kind of fun. Let's see what the box office is, Mr. Producer. I'm just curious. I'm not saying that the film's going to fail, but it's worth taking a look here. Avatar Fire and Ash grosses more than $100 million at the box office in 3 days. It's projected to make $340 to $350 million globally this weekend. So it's probably just going to make another $2 billion. Why not? And it's... that is such a feat. It is such an impressive feat to create films that have no meaningful advancement of the story, have no hope in them. They are hopeless, bleak films about dying planets and dying civilizations. Humanity is totally morally bankrupt and utterly irredeemable. You are meant to feel like a piece of shit when you walk out of the theater for being a human. And yet they have no story, no character arcs, nothing. And they're going to rake in $2 billion because James Cameron is just that freaking good as a technical filmmaker, meaning, action scenes, visual effects, plausibility of, there's a lot of really cool mechs and stuff like that. Technology looks cool. He's so good at that. So underwater filmmaking, which, his underwater scenery is amazing. He's so good at that stuff technically that his films don't have to have a story. That's an enviable position. Even if I don't envy it. You know what I'm saying? All right, let me grab the chat here. It's really tough being on one monitor today. I got to tell you, I got to switch back and forth to get the chat. Fuman Blue saying, join our Discord, which the link is in the description. Thank you, Fuman Blue. Pointing out we are at the SNS channel on X. That's right. We have the X channel. And if you go to www.galaxyborn.com, you will find the landing page for my upcoming Starfaring novel series, at which I am hard at work. It's called Galaxy Born. There you go. There's my villain. This will be a story that meaningfully advances the status quo of the world. There will actually be meaningful events in this future. So yeah, check it out. Put in your email address. As we get closer to a launch, there will be updates for you. So now, I just covered that Expos from Little Platoon. I had another one I wanted to grab here. Yes, Critical Drinker has thoughts. Actually, wait, go back. Back, Mr. Producer. Yes, there it is. I need the tweet. By the way, Elon Musk had the greatest reply. There was an Elon reply guy, some upset wacko was just like, Elon Musk destroyed Twitter. And Elon's reply was classic. He just replied with, yes. It's exactly. That was the point. I bought Twitter and I eliminated it. It's now X. I thought such a great reply. So Critical Drinker here says, Avatar Fire and Ash is a test of endurance. Bloated and self-indulgent, trite and melodramatic, meandering and aimless, trying to wring cheap emotion from characters and events I can't begin to care about. It's genuinely baffling that this movie got made. Well, I disagree with his last point there. It's not at all baffling that it got made. As I said, James Cameron is so achieved as a filmmaker technically, he doesn't need to have things like a story. He's beyond that. He's ascended beyond that plane. Also, when the two previous films have each made $2 billion, then, yeah, you're going to have a third film. So that's not surprising at all. What is surprising is that the fourth one is going to make $2 billion. That's what I can't understand. You've literally seen the same movie 2 times now with Avatar 3, Folie à Deux, but you're still going to go see the fourth one? I don't understand that. This is going nowhere. This franchise is not going anywhere. It's now become clear to me that James Cameron is not interested in answering the question of what is the fate of Pandora, because that question is already answered. It's a doomed planet. And humans are a doomed, awful species. And you should be ashamed of being a human. That's basically the point of these films. There's really nothing else you need to know. But I'm curious if you're correct about this. Star Fury saying it'll never make $1 billion. This is the beginning of the end for Cameron as a successful filmmaker. I don't know, Star Fury. We'll see, but I just don't think that's likely. I think it's already on track to make over $250 million in the first 3 days. There's just no stopping the Avatar films. And you know something? They're pretty to look at. They're fun amusement rides. Listen, I front-loaded my remarks with what I really disliked about this film. But I should probably say there's a lot I do like. The action scenes are pretty awesome. They are still fun to watch and fun to look at. I think 3 hours was a lot more than I needed. I still feel some investment in some of the characters, less so in others. So I can understand these are pretty amusement rides that people are just always going to want to ride. That's just what it is. I could be wrong. You could be right. I suppose it's not that I hope Avatar films fail. I don't hope that. I would rather that James Cameron tells an interesting story and they succeed. But what I would prefer is that if they're just going to be repetitive slop, then I would hope that people are not rewarding repetitive slop. I will not be rewarding the fourth one. I'm basically out. Like, I really, at least the second film advanced the story of Jake Sully. If nothing else, it advanced the story of Jake Sully, which is that now he has a family. Now he has different things to fight for. Okay, that's at least something. But this third one, it's a repeat of the second one. I do not want to watch the third version of the second film in 2 or 3 years. I was sitting there in the theater, and as it was ending, I thought, okay, cool. I'll see you in 2 years to do this all over again. That's literally how I felt. I regret that you are correct about this, Star Fury. Sci-fi movies, apart from stuff from Korea and Japan, has been absolute garbage. It really has. And I would say, Pluribus is the only really good science fiction show right now. Star Fury saying there's an appropriate 40K metaphor for Pandora. An Inquisitor Cryptman would say exterminatus. Yes. They just drop a cyclonic torpedo. I think that's what it's called. That just wipes out the planet, just glasses the whole surface. We've got like bots on the kick stream. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can deal with it. Go to my creator dashboard. See if I can find it. Gotta mute that. All right. Was it coming from Twitch or was it coming from Kick? Oh, there it is. I see it. There we go. Permaban. Get the fuck out. Out you go. All right, that's been dealt with. All right, now returning to the topics at hand. Now, do I have anything else to cover on this, Mr. Producer? Oh, yes. I suppose we should talk about the most, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to go and see Avatar, and it's really sad. It's really sad. One of the biggest reasons is I wanted to see the Christopher Nolan Odyssey teaser. And I will just tell you, it wasn't anything like deep. It was mostly just images, sounds, brief little scenes. But it was like, holy shit, man. Nolan is going to deliver something awesome. Everything looks fantastic. The Trojan War armor looks awesome. And the great thing about it is all of the scenes have immediate sense of suspense and dread. There's a scene where there's a bunch of his troops hiding under the decks of a trireme, and there's swords just like trying to stab through, and they're like dodging these swords, and it's just immediate visceral, exciting suspense. It feels real. It feels just nerve shredding, and it's going to be great. I think the Odyssey is going to be a hell of a movie. I'm so excited for it. So, yeah, that was cool. And it just showed you how, the thing Nolan is a master at is mise en scène. Mise en scène, which is a snooty film critic term that just means the overall, like if you take all the separate ingredients of a film, sound, editing, the stage and the set, the feeling, the mood of the film, take all of that and just put it all in one little witch's brew. That's mise en scène. It's the overall feeling you get from a film. And Nolan's films have just a consistently epic, visceral, real mise en scène. And I'm very excited for it. Now, there was something else interesting before the Avatar film started. They had a teaser, and it's the one that has been leaked, I assume. They had the teaser for Avengers Doomsday. And it was just just a very short clip of Steve Rogers. It's him, but they don't really show his face, but they show it right at the end. But it's Steve Rogers in his home holding his baby, and his Captain America suit's all packed away in a chest, and they're subtly playing his theme, and it says Steve Rogers will return in Avengers Doomsday. And the reaction I heard in the theater was a couple of excited whispers, I would say. There was a couple, there was a couple of those. And I remember thinking, this is such desperation. So Avengers Doomsday is going to be trash, because of course it is. However, it reminded me of what we actually have lost with the Avengers series. It reminded me how awful and just dumb wokeness is and how it's destroyed our culture, because all of the conversation online right now is about how racist this is and how they've hung out Sam Wilson's character to dry and everyone's at each other's throats. And I'm thinking, wokeness is such a poison. It is that would be identity politics and social justice warrior wackoism. It is such a poison. It tears apart everything it touches, so that now It first destroyed the MCU by putting a bunch of lame, progressive propaganda in the films and turned them into propaganda machines rather than actual films about superheroes for dudes, which is what they should be. And the ladies are welcome to enjoy, of course, but let's face it, superhero films are for dudes. They just are. And now that they, like locusts, have fed on and destroyed the MCU, now the MCU is flailing and trying to bring back what made it popular in the first place, and all that's doing is creating eye rolls for those of us who know better. We know it's going to be trash. You're not going to change our minds with Steve Rogers. He's just going to be cucked, like always, like all the other male characters, and nothing's going to change. But meanwhile, the woke wackos that you were trying to win over, the vaunted modern audience, are just lighting your ass up for giving up on Sam Wilson, Captain America. And where does that leave you? Back to where it all began, back to where it started. What's that Thanos quote? Starfairy says, I couldn't give a shit about Steve Rogers, Doctor Doom, Sam Wilson. I totally agree. I don't care at all about the MCU. I don't really care about superheroes anymore. I don't care. You know, it's an important thing to understand. I was thinking about this today. It isn't just that superheroes represented good value, the values of heroism. What are the values of heroism? You know, protecting the innocent and the weak, standing up for justice, doing the right thing, having the discipline to treat criminals with more. How can I put this? For example, Batman and Spider-Man refusing to kill if they can avoid it. In other words, they're holding themselves to a higher standard of justice than simple revenge. You know, they're not just vigilantes. They're trying to set things right. It's like, where do those values come from? Those values come from Judeo-Christian values of Western civilization. Western civilizational values, which were then codified in the American founding. So what I'm getting at is the American way is superheroes. I don't think people fully appreciate this. The concept of like women and children go into the lifeboats first on the Titanic, that is a distinctly Western civilizational ethic. I'm not saying you couldn't possibly find it in other cultures, but it is certainly not present in other cultures. Some other cultures at the very least, you will not find it. This idea that injustice must be set right is, I think, a distinctly American ethic. It's what the American country was founded on. The United States of America was founded to set right the injustices of tyranny. It is baked into the fabric of American culture to fight for the innocent, to fight for what's right, to hold oneself as a member of a civilization, the citizen of a civilization, to make it your personal responsibility to seek justice. That's unusual in human nature. That's not natural in human nature. It flows from our natural state of being, but it requires an enlightened and educated populace to hold to values like that. The natural state of humanity is that's the post-apocalypse. That's Fallout. That's gangs of raiders taking what they want, and might makes right. That's natural human behavior. Civilization is what gives us the values that make superheroes a thing. So superheroes like Superman, Batman, Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, these characters arose from American traditions, American beliefs about justice, protecting the innocent, standing up for what's right, speaking out against tyranny. Those are the concepts that made superheroes arise. Superheroes are, by their very nature, an affirmation, a celebration, and a call to arms to good and decent men and women of civilization, but primarily men. Because let's face it, when you have to storm a machine gun nest on Omaha Beach, it ain't the ladies doing it. It's just a fact. And superheroes are about that very call to arms. And so, the reason that superhero films suck now is because we are a culture that has, at least in part, repudiated those ideals and those ideas. Those ideals and ideas have been destroyed by social justice wackos, far left loons, who have infested every corner of our civilization, hate America, and hate everything it stands for. They hate Western civilization. They're nihilistic. They're insane. And they lack the cultural and civic language to write a superhero. And so we come now, at last, to the end. The moribund state of the superhero as realized and represented in James Gunn's nihilistic, pathetic, drunk thought, Supergirl, who has the line, "My cousin, Superman, sees the good in people. I see the truth." Wow. Just wow. So yeah, I'm not interested in superheroes anymore. They are a dead concept. They don't exist as a concept in our civilization. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't want to see them return. But the ideals that make superheroes even a thing in the first place are under assault. And so it is up to us to restore that cult. That culture has to be restored and put back in its proper place before we can have proper superhero stories again. So that's a long way of saying I'm with you, Star Fury. Star Fury says, I want to watch the Street Fighter movie. I want that to be stupidly fun, where I can park my brain in the trunk. I think you'll get your wish, Star Fury. Michael Archangel says, I need a good popcorn movie. Like a new one, or just any popcorn movie will do? I'll give that some thought, Michael Archangel. Movie question to everyone, says Michael Archangel. People say Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Oh, here we go. Mr. Producer. I would also like to add Lethal Weapon to that list of action Christmas movies. Super Thought, says Star Fury. Exactly, Super Thought. That would be... Is Lethal Weapon a Christmas movie? No. No, it's not. Die Hard's not a Christmas movie either. But it is a great movie to watch at Christmas. I will agree to that. All right, what else we got in the stack of stuff, my dear sailors and starnauts? Well, Patricia Heaton of Everybody Loves Raymond fame had some thoughts about the state of writing. And, we often talk about a bunch of woke wackos wrote this. I like to say that things like The Acolyte, for example, are written by truly stupid people who eat glue, and they're mostly hired because of DEI reasons. Now, Patricia Heaton has been in those writing rooms, and she knows exactly what it's like. So, hat tip film threat, I thought we would get her thoughts on this. Okay, roll tape, Mr. Producer.
Trisha Heaton speaks on Hollywood and what's happening. So let's take a look at this clip.
A really veteran comedy writer said he was in a writer's room where a bunch of the writers were in their 20s. And they had a character that was like a Marine, and he didn't like to hug anybody. He didn't want guys hugging him. He would like tense up. And they were writing this character, and one of the young writers said, well, that's really homophobic. We can't write that. And they said, listen,
folks, we are dead on accurate when we explain how these shows and movies are such trash. This is why they're trash. This is literally an actress in the industry. She's seen it firsthand. This is what we're dealing with. We are dealing with we have basically had wacko professors in colleges turn an entire two generations of people into mind-numbed idiots who are incapable of critical thought. We got a hell of a lot of work to do, my dear sailors and Starnauts.
Listen, how does a character change and evolve unless they start in some place? Mm-hmm. So why not just have him start there? And we see by the end, maybe grudgingly, but by the end, he accepts a hug. Like, you can't have that ending unless you have that beginning. So there's a certain wokeness, I think, in some young people, although there might be even a backlash against that now in this era that we're in.
I remember you telling me a couple of years ago that you were in a writer's room for a show that I think maybe never aired, where you basically felt they had to hire this diverse cast of writers, and they were basically fighting the entire time over what was offensive.
Right. Yes.
It's obvious, but it's crazy.
Right. That's because the first thing I heard was like where they came from, or what ethnicity they were, or what sexuality they identified as and I kept thinking, yeah, but can they write comedy?
You're like, great, you're a lesbian.
Right, exactly. So I think it can come back, but and I'm trying. We're taking stuff out and pitching it, so we'll see.
Do you think so?
So I'm going to show another clip from this, but it's from the Dave Rubin. His show, the Rubin Report. What do you guys think?
What a great anecdote she just said, because it proves everything we were saying for like the 7 years, that like they were just hiring based on intrinsic qualities, not actual meritocracy. Hi, I'm gay and black. Okay, what's your story pitch?
Yeah.
No, that was it.
It makes me think of Everybody Loves Raymond, the PMS episode. Because they, oh my gosh, I mean, it just really gets into it. Deborah is obviously going through PMS. Raymond decides that he's going to gift her with pills to help her out with it. And when she denies that she has PMS or it affects her that badly, he has a tape recording of her going off. And I'm like, that's just to that point of, you couldn't have made that episode unless you went there, unless you just did the horrible things that we do to each other, especially during those times. Because in order to show that, then you can show the growth that comes out of that. And I see less of that more and more. And we'll probably talk more about that when we get to the Star Trek funeral.
And this is a big reason why we don't see character arcs anymore. We don't see meaningful change in stories, because we literally have. Okay, okay, cool. I pause it there. All right, so we literally have writers that are incapable of portraying change in a character because they can't portray anything that is contradictory to their sick worldview. Now, what's strange about this is if you wanted to proselytize about social justice ideas, wouldn't you want to accurately portray the antithesis of those ideas? Wouldn't you need to have characters as a foil for those ideas? It's so bizarre to me that these woke wackos, they don't want to portray fascism in a fictional futuristic science fiction society, because that's bad, because then it's fascism. Well, then how could you have the Empire in Star Wars? Like, they can't actually even write anything anymore. Comedy is dead, Starfitty. It doesn't exist in modern Hollywood, as Michael Archangel points out.
We just can't talk about being human anymore.
Mm-hmm. Let's look at another clip here.
I look back, so I was always grateful, but I look back on it now and I'm like, that was the heyday. Yeah. You had Seinfeld, you had Friends, Even going back to a show like Wings, when my first son was born in 93, I watched Wings, was so funny. So there was all these great comedies, and we got to be a part of that. And whenever you would go, either at ABC or CBS, to, one of these television critics association events, and all the casts would show up, and you were like, we're all on shows. Isn't this cool? You'd see your friends from other shows. And we realized that is probably not coming back now, since the advent of streaming, which blew up the whole system. Even when HBO came onto the scene, you still had the major networks. It was the 3 plus Fox was sort of there, and then you had HBO, and that was kind of it. It's not that anymore. And I realized, my goodness, we got to do that. Like, I always was grateful, but I look back on it and I thought, we really didn't realize that we were in this golden era of television.
One of the last great.
I was, oddly enough, I went to one of the TCAs once as a guest for G4. But what do we think about Patricia Heaton's comments? She's just confirming everything we know. Comedy has evolved. And a veteran like herself, I almost feel like the trouble is these new writers lack life experience and then feel they must adhere to a checklist.
They say write what you know, and they know about being diverse.
They lack the life experience. They have to adhere to a checklist. They want to insert themselves into.
I would say one of the problems with these writers is they're trying to write purely ideas. They're trying to write purely doctrine. In other words, it's the equivalent of essentially trying to write something that complies with a religious text. But true art has to flow from a place of more than that. True art comes from a place of silence. It comes from a place of listening. It comes from a place of experience. It comes from the soul. It just does. If it's purely a mental exercise, it will fail. If you want to write a story that moves people, yes, you have to understand plot. Yes, you have to think about character arcs, and you have to outline events and things like that. But that's actually superficial work. That's actually the work that's really kind of the preparation and finishing work. The actual deep work has nothing to do with any of that. This is why I think AI will never be capable of writing truly moving stories. Now, will AI write things that could pass as stories, such as, could it write something at, say, the level of quality of Avatar 3 Folie à Deux? Yes, 100%. But Avatar Fire and Ash Folie à Deux isn't going to move people. It's not going to actually say anything powerful. Do I have this clip, Mr. Producer? I hope I still have this. I really hope I didn't remove this. I think it's got to be still in here. Hang on, let me go to my video roll here. Do you like my Christmas cabin and my Christmas attire, chat? I hope so. I think I probably got rid of it, didn't I? Let me see if I can grab it. It's got to be in there still. Media source. I think I have it. There it is. I think this is it. All right. Audio. Okay, here we go.
I'm telling you, this finale, it's unbelievable how tepid contemporary art seems.
Wait, let me make sure I've got the sound enabled. I don't know if I have the sound enabled. I can't tell if I... Because this is my Christmas movie. Me and my cousin are going to watch Revenge of the Sith. This is our Christmas movie. All right, where is it? Okay, cool. All right. Bring it down to that. There we go. I'm on one monitor, chat. I'm sorry. One monitor. The struggle is real here. There we go. Okay. From the top, Mr. Producer, roll tape.
I'm telling you, this finale, it's unbelievable how tepid contemporary art seems compared to the passionate quality of this finale. So you have this like huge, like it's like romantic nature painting, apocalyptic landscape of the lava. Lucas crosscuts the destruction of the Senate chamber, and you have the destruction of industry going on. And then after all these horrors, it is so beautiful. I'm saying, my God, nothing in the last 30 years in any of the arts has been produced as emotionally compelling and significant as the finale of Revenge of the Sith.
I 100% agree with that. Every time I see that. She's so dead on right about that. It's the passion. And here's why I bring that up. Because the source of that passion, that comes from a place of emotion. It comes from a place of wonder. It comes from a place of spirituality. It comes from a place where there's no such thing as rules. There's no such thing as judgments and doctrine. It's the things that can't be spoken, only felt. That is the place that true art comes from. And the reason that these stupid writers who are brain-numbed robots, brainwashed by their wacko professors, all they can think of is mental exercises. They think only in terms of ideas and doctrine, and that is not the place where art flows from. Let's see. Roll tape, Mr. Producer. Where is it? There it is. Play.
To everything. So that way, they can leave their stamp on it and say, hey, that's me. Yeah, it's more of like a narcissistic attitude as opposed to being creative,
Yeah. What do you think, Ramesh?
I would take a little...
Stop it. He says, bah fucking humbug, Captain. So, in that spirit, will you join me, my dear chat, in praying for a Christmas miracle for our dear Star Fury? I know there's one on the way for you, Star Fury. We all do. Now, that reminds me, we are going to be doing our... So that you'll love this, Star Fury. We are going to be doing our watch-along for Godzilla -1 on Boxing Day. And to those of us that are not from the British Isles, that is the day after Christmas, the 26th. So roughly the same time of day. We're going to watch Godzilla -1 together on the stream. It is on Netflix. We're going to watch it with the Japanese subtitles. We're not going to watch the English dub, so we'll go over all that. But yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. Boxing Day for Godzilla -1. I might do, and that's going to be a member stream. Maybe I'll do that for the... Should that be a member stream, Mr. Producer? I'm thinking about doing a member stream reacting to Dr. Steve Turley reading A Christmas Carol on Monday. On Monday night, he's going to be doing a reading of A Christmas Carol. I think that one we'd probably do public. I'd probably do that one public. I just, because I love A Christmas Carol and I'm kind of interested to watch it. So I might just do a stream on that on Monday night. But no, it will be a members-only stream on Boxing Day. We're watching Godzilla -1. It's a watch-along, so don't miss it. Starfury says, there isn't enough faith in the universe to change me. Yay to Godzilla -1. Who knows, Starfury? Maybe that is your Christmas miracle, and you just don't know it. Redoubt Productions says, "Oh boy, next year's Christmas will be the 250th for the Battle of Trenton. Cannot wait." Hell yes, Redoubt Productions. Fun fact, when I ran a Mass Effect role-playing game, tabletop RPG with my friends using the Fate engine, I did a Mass Effect campaign, and this is what a Mass Effect nerd I am. So if you don't know, in Mass Effect, all frigates, all military starships that are of the frigate class are named after, or actually no, I think it's all military ships. Am I right about that? No, I think it's frigates. Frigates are named after great battles in human history. So the SSV Normandy is named the Normandy because all frigates are named after battles. Dreadnoughts, for example, are named after mountains on Earth, and I believe cruisers are named after cities. So, of course, my characters in my tabletop RPG had a frigate that they were on, and it was named the Trenton. It was named the Trenton. Okay, roll tape.
Slightly, I agree, but I would take a slightly different viewpoint and say that there's so much. They're such corporations now, and they're so brand oriented that everyone is so worried about offending and the outrage out there, and it's about market share. That I think that also dictates as much as anything else is what you can't say, how you have to. There's no edge to any comedy, right? You have to shave off those edges and make everything palatable for the biggest common denominator, for the 4 quadrants or whatever, for the whole.
Yeah, networks don't care what's on the show. They care that they don't go viral because of something they did.
There you go. Hat Tip, Film Threat, such a great channel. Make sure to subscribe to Film Threat. Now, next in the stack of stuff, we do have some important errands to run here. We have some important errands to run. It's a little thing I like to call grave dancing.
What are you laughing at?
That's right. I like to call it a little bit of grave dancing. So if you don't know, there is a game studio which produced a game called Concord. Concord is, broadly speaking, woke trash. And it failed. It was a complete disaster. It featured fat, ugly characters that no one wanted to play as, terrible gameplay, and the general pastel vomit aesthetic typical of all woke games. Well, they're back. And they're producing a new game called Highguard. And it's not going well so far. Allow me to illuminate you, my dear beloved audience. Hat Tip. Actually, Hat Tip Hero Hey. I love this little channel, Hero Hey. His videos pop up on my feed. He sort of covers gaming and internet drama, and it's a lot of fun. He covers a lot of streamer drama, and I just love his style. He's got a very, he just seems like a really nice, cool, down-to-earth guy. And he doesn't say anything edgy or crazy. He kind of just points out what these wackos are saying and chuckles at it a little bit. And I dig that. So here we go. Hat Tip Hero Hey. And he's got a report here about how it's going for Highguard. I just thought this was amusing. Put a little like on that. And roll tape, Mr. Producer.
Protest.
Oh, wait, hang on. Sorry.
Industry.
Forgot
Right
the
now,
sound.
Brian Francis over at GameDeveloper.com writing about how at the Game Awards recently, a number of these same sort of game devs protested the state of the industry once again by holding this. Same sort of people who brought you watch a bunch of game developers screaming in a public park to protest the state of the industry. We now have Brian Francis over at GameDeveloper.com writing about how at the Game Awards recently, a number of these same sort of game devs protested the state of the industry once again by holding this, what they're calling mock funeral. These are all the exact sort of AAA devs who love to use the games industry to interject their own political viewpoints and do their best to appeal to the modern audience. And if you're not familiar with the Screaming event from last year, I'll play like a 4-second clip really quick so you can see what a disaster this was. As mentioned, this year at the Game Awards, they held this mock funeral, though, with tombstones talking about, like, rip games, strangled by shareholders, oh, we're done playing, unionized, wanted, David Zaslav. And it's like, yeah, sure, David Zaslav's arguably been a pretty bad CEO at Warner Discovery, but he's not responsible for what these modern audience devs do at completely different companies on their own accord. These are the...
You know, I say this often, right? Modern... How can I put this? Those who are working currently in the film and AAA gaming industry, they have a belief. They believe that the purpose of making a movie or a video game is so that they get to have a job making movies or video games. And when I say that, these are exactly the people I'm talking about, because these are the people responsible for their own failure. They have written boring, awful millennial dialogue that people laugh at online. They've created stupid, unappealing characters nobody wants to play. They have stuffed video games with annoying, obnoxious politics that nobody likes, taking the 10 side of every 90-10 issue. And on top of all of that, they have been rude, smug, and insulting to their own audiences. They are awful people. They are snot-nosed, virtue-signaling jerks that nobody likes, annoying little hall monitors going around tone policing the rest of society as if that's their job. And they have run all of their video games into the ground. They have been massive flops. They've been total disasters. And their response to all of this is to blame their employers and want to unionize. In other words, take absolutely zero responsibility for any of their bad work, because they think they're entitled to this job. They think that the purpose of them creating games is so that they get to create games. That's the purpose. Just like the purpose of an Alien movie or TV show is so that a female can be the lead in an Alien movie or TV show. That's the purpose. Or so they think.
Companies on their own accord. These are the sort of AAA game devs who hate gamers and ruin franchises like Dragon Age. Then they turn around and blame everything and everyone except themselves. They can do no wrong. And I love how they always make these blanket macro statements about the state of the industry being so terrible. But in reality, it's only AAA that's been getting wrecked, while the indie scene keeps getting more dubs. But you know how it is. This sort of group of AAA devs will always try to blame other people and other things and never take accountability for their own actions, but they'll certainly be the first ones to try and play victim when they see an opportunity. And then, of course, back at GameDeveloper.com, they're glazing this event. Brian Francis over here is writing like these people are just like heroes for this performative, bizarre behavior. It's just so weird that one year these people will have like a screaming event at a public park, and the next year they're holding like a fake funeral outside the Game Awards. And GameDeveloper.com, where Brian Francis is, always appeals to these sort of game devs. They constantly defend this sort of behavior, and they love to like hate on gamers. It's the sort of place where they're like, oh, the gamers are all just chuds. For the record, Brian Francis just the other day was...
Isn't it incredible? This would be... Imagine being a novelist who writes novels and you hate readers. You hate readers. You're like, oh my God, I hate book readers. They're the scum of the earth. But I love writing novels. That's exactly what it is. Imagine making movies and hating your audience. Imagine making Star Wars shows and hating Star Wars fans. That's
also signal boosting Jason Schreier and his like his failed hit campaign against Larian's CEO. Brian Francis was signal boosting that nonsense on his Blue Sky account, acting like Jason Schreier's so amazing and like Larian's so evil. If you're out of the loop on that situation, though, consider watching yesterday's video. It's too much to recap here, so I'm just gonna leave this one where we are. Thank you for
That, you know, I really admire YouTubers like this. He's so chill. You know, he makes it seem like it's just so easy. It's like I'm such a perfectionist. I'm such a perfectionist that, like, even when I make a video and I'm pretty proud of it, I'm like, it's still not good enough. And it could just be the appearance. See, this is the thing. People that have been doing something a long time and are really good at it, they make it look easy. They really do. So this could be exactly that illusion. But he just seems like a guy that turns on the camera, speaks his mind, and it comes out great. And I really envy that. But now, again, I'm not saying that's how it actually is. It probably isn't. But he makes it look that way, which is to his credit. Now, I did mention Highguard. I forgot the Hero Hey video was more about the industry generally. This is the video about Highguard and the total shit show. Hat tip, geeks and gamers. This is pretty hilarious, so I thought I may not do the whole video, but let's just take a look here.
Highguard Treailer massively ratioed after the Game Awards 2025. Have you guys heard about this? This moment right here, dude. It pissed me off so fucking bad. From the makers of Titanfall. A brand new shooter. And I'm like, So, look at the ratio on this fucking game. Look at that.
Yeah, that's bad, man.
Wait, hang on.
Wow.
10,000 downvotes to 964. So it's a 10-to-1. That is a 10-to-1 ratio. Holy smokes. Folks, we are inflicting cataclysmic defeats on these wackos, man. Make no mistake, they pretend not to care. Folks, they know how much hate they're getting online. They know how despised, mocked, and ridiculed their games are, and it is eating them up inside. Now, they put on a brave face, but I'm telling you right now, these narcissistic wackos, they live for this. This is all they care about. They're not professionals. And a non-professional creative cannot handle ridicule and critique. They would put people in jail for making a video like this if they could. Don't doubt me. So the fact that this 10-to-1 ratio has just this is the announcement. This is the announcement of this game. It's not even out yet. It's not even at a major. This is the first actual announcement that it's even been happening. 10-to-1. Folks, that is an ass whooping. That is being taken to the woodshed, folks. That is bad. Really bad. We have inflicted defeat after defeat after withering defeat. Roll tape.
Easy.
Also bad.
10,000 dislikes.
That is a 10% like ratio.
That is insane.
that is a rare ratio, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's bad enough. You were gonna get heat because you kind of did tease it like it was gonna be Titanfall 3 at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The vagueness of it. You're like, yo, is this
Or
really
a
gonna happen?
spiritual successor, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then it just to be like this fucking hero shooter slop garbage like that didn't. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
But did you guys actually understand what was happening in the trailer? Because at first
No.
it was like, oh, this is going to be mount-based battle, and then suddenly
No.
it's large map-based battle, and then suddenly it's destructive environment battle, and then
What's the-
suddenly it's base battle, and then suddenly it's you have to unlock the demon lord that you're going to play as, and somehow that works out. Like, what was going on?
Yeah,
So I
gassed
I
up
was
this
with
game
it
so
at
much.
first. When you get right here, I'm thinking, okay, so
I
they're
thought that was
making
cool.
I'm
Yeah.
like, they're making a new single player game right here. You can see
Yeah,
the
yeah.
obvious like Apex and Titanfall gunplay right here. I'm like, okay, so let's see what the story is going to be. And then right after this scene, that's where you're like, oh, this is going to be a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And then you start seeing it. It's like, oh,
Hero
this
shooter.
is just Paladins on steroids, dude. What the fuck are
Yeah.
we doing here, bro?
But so
Yeah.
is it meant to be considered a hero shooter?
Yeah,
Yes.
It's a hero
Yes.
shooter.
But where
what
they
it
go
looks like, yeah.
completely wrong then in all of that marketing is they do not show off the heroes.
No.
The reason why Overwatch, unfortunately, is still successful today is because of the original cast of
R34.
heroes and the way they showed them off. You fell in love with Widowmaker's butt. You wanted to make porn of Tracer. You
Porn of
May.
Tracer.
Like,
Yeah,
there's
mercy.
none of this here.
Wait a minute. Now.
I think your reasons are different than other people's. But, you know,
Hold on a second now. Wait a minute now.
Okay.
Love makes the house a home.
Hey, I like the spirit. I like the spirit there.
Like the thing is, I was excited. Yeah, when you see the mounts and stuff, you're like, okay, this is like a cool medieval kind of thing, and okay, there's guns, whatever. But then, like, when you start looking at the
I'll tell you exactly what I think of this Highguard trash. So I say this often. One of the lamest crutches of... I don't want to be discouraging to any amateur writers out there, but I will just say that any writer who defends the inconsistency and strangeness of their work as, well, it's fantasy sci-fi. Like, it's both. It's both fantasy and sci-fi. Which, by the way, was Zack Snyder's defense of Rebel Moon. He said, well, of course it does. Well, yeah, coal being shoveled into a boiler to power a starship doesn't have to make sense. It's fantasy sci-fi. That is a lazy cop-out. That is a way of saying that you don't actually have a concrete concept for your story. You're not very good at lore building, and you're essentially, in my view, a lazy writer. I consider that a sign of laziness. Now, am I saying you can't have a science fiction story with a dash of magic? Am I saying you can't have a fantasy world with a dash of science? No. What I am saying is that putting all that stuff in a blender and calling it and saying you can do whatever the hell you want because it's sci-fi fantasy that is the first resort of a lazy amateurish writer. It just is. So when I see this witch's brew of like fantastical beasts and magical arrows and flying horses and then a bunch of gunplay, you know what it is? It's Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum Nausea. It's just slop. It's just visual garbage. And it's written by lazy writers who eat glue.
aesthetic, even it doesn't even know what it wants to be. Is it like a futuristic setting? Is
like
it
this
like
right here? Pause it. That is so lame.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Whatever that is, whatever.
By the way, if Henry Cavill does not have full control, they're going to turn Warhammer 40,000 into this. This will be Warhammer 40K on the new Amazon TV show if Cavill loses control. I'm just telling you right now.
Whatever's happening here, like this whole sequence is the lamest thing I've ever seen because they're going for something medieval. Well, a fucking African lion head is not the Viking medieval Highguardian, Asgardian kind of shit like that. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on there.
It feels like it's trying to appeal to as many people as possible.
It does.
Yeah.
And that's not the way to do it because, like, here's the thing. Like, if you go look at a game like Soulframe, like, it like has a massive amount of hype around it because it knows what it wants to be. It's a medieval game with like some futuristic elements to it or whatever. Like this, when I started seeing this, I was like, cool, it's this. Oh, never mind. Like Savvy said, oh, maybe
I saw this great meme of Henry Cavill playing Warhammer, It was just a picture of Henry Cavill playing Warhammer, and the caption on the meme was "average Warhammer player." Just your garden variety Warhammer hobbyist. Just freaking Henry Cavill. That's so funny. I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, that's accurate. The ladies, that is 100% accurate. Dreamy Henry Cavill. That's just an average Warhammer 40K player.
Maybe not at this. And then it's just a fucking hero shooter. Yeah, and like Savvy said, I don't even know who the heroes are.
Yeah,
they just
They
show
didn't
like
show no names.
No,
Like,
they
they
just show
just
fucking
they are
powers.
showing
No names. And then look at that. See this? Like, who is somebody playing that? Is that the champion? Do you unlock it? Is that an NPC? Is it an event that you trigger? Why are you destroying bases? Why are you trying to break in? Who are these people? Why are they fighting each other? What is happening? This is total marketing failure.
And
It
it's
was
my,
really confusing.
and that was my question: is like, why do you think?
Oh, and that
This
guy
is-
right there is McCree, by the way. So if you go to his character that shows up, you just see McCree. Look at that. Like, even though it doesn't look like McCree, you're like, that's McCree.
Yeah.
And
Also,
that
what
was
is
my
like this aesthetic? Like he's
What
like
is
wearing some.
this?
What do you
I
think the number one reason that this has gotten so massively universally rejected? Do you think it's one thing? Do you think it's just a multiple things?
It's because you
I think it's
Mark,
multiple
you said
things.
you presented this as the last thing at the Game Awards, and
The
that's
build-up.
usually like your
Wait, what's that, Star Fury? I think you said I'd still throw my drink at Henry Cavill if the dice rolls went his way. Fucking nerd. Yeah, exactly. Imagine playing 40K with Henry Cavill, and then he just keeps getting lucky on the rolls. Be like, oh, fuck you, Henry Cavill, screw you. I never want to play with you again. You suck.
your biggest thing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you go, these are from the makers of Titanfall.
Just
and
rage
Apex
quit the
Legends,
game.
2 massive games. And you're like, okay, so we're finally going to be getting something that we've been wanting for years. It might not be Titanfall 3 because it's a brand new studio, but it might be something like that. So you hype it up like, oh, this is the best game I've ever played. You know, once you see this, you're going to want to play it too. This is totally unique and everything like that. And then you see it and it looks like everything else you've been playing for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Yep.
oh, I don't
Yeah.
want that. And then you have to add on to the fact that these are the people that made Titanfall. So no, we don't want to play some fucking hero shooter bullshit. We want a new story that's something.
Henry Cavill, Michael Archangel, just needs to be James Bond. Henry Cavill needs to play James Bond. He is also an Englishman, so far as I know, which is important. I think that's a good. You know, you have an just absolute Chad Englishman playing James Bond. He would be awesome. He would be up there with Pierce Brosnan, I think. I think he if you wrote a masculine James Bond, which now that's in doubt. I don't know if it's even possible to write masculine character. You know, Jake Sully's a great example of this. He's such a tail between his legs loser. He's always running away. He never is fighting. He never has a plan. It's really obnoxious. And it's part of a larger pattern where you just can't write masculine characters who lead anymore or inspire or take a moral stand. The strange thing is, there's still, in a lot of properties like Avatar, an acknowledgement that men are the leaders often in violence. But there's this total abandonment of men ever being the moral convincers in a situation. They're not the ones persuading people in a moral crisis. You don't see it as often. Anyway, but that's beside the point. James Bond, as a masculine James Bond character played by Henry Cavill, would be epic. It would be incredible. Yes, black-haired Bond. Bring him back. Yeah, I think Pierce Brosnan is probably my favorite Bond in retrospect. Of course, you know, Sean Connery, the GOAT. I'm a big fan of Timothy Dalton. And the first Daniel Craig film, Casino Royale, was brilliant. But yeah, I think Pierce Brosnan, probably my favorite Bond.
Thing like that. So that's another added thing of disappointment.
Except it's not the people who made Titanfall; it's the studio that made Titanfall.
Right.
Could you
It's not even.
Yeah.
It's
This
not
was just
Respawn.
really
It's
confusing.
the developers.
I like that. Highguard, we get Concord 2 before Titanfall 3.
Yeah, we got Concord 2 and 3.
And that was another thing. It looked like Concord. It does.
What I thought was gonna happen and would have been cool. You have a game like this with mounts and you see them shooting each other and shit, and then like a fucking medieval style like fucking Titan drops from the sky. Like do that. Do like fucking giant.
Yeah, Star Fury. License to Kill, classic.
Like elemental summons and shit, and do a medieval fucking Titanfall style game. You could have had people eating on the palm of your hand with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, imagine too if like every kill that you get feeds a meter to be able to unlock that, to have them drop down and then fight for you for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And then it's up to the enemy to have to not only kill that but then fend you off. Like that would be so cool. But no, we get.
Bottom line here is that regardless of how you feel about Titanfall, and everybody knows where I stand, it has the best movement of any FPS game.
Yes.
The movement is unmatched. Build upon that movement. Build upon those mechanics. You do that, and you're eating good, as Mike said. They ain't doing that.
They ain't doing that.
This will shutter the studio.
Yeah, this is bad. This is Concord level marketing.
It's going to shut down, yeah.
Whoever too was on the marketing team, every single one of them need to be fired, and I have a feeling I actually know what they outsourced to.
And we can find out very soon if this game is going to suck massive cocks because it's coming out early next month.
Wait, it's actually releasing
January 6th.
January 26th.
Wait, it's coming out January 6th?
Yeah, it's very early next year.
Hell yes. Great name.
Well, it looks like January 6th, 2021 won't be the worst day in American history now. Because this game will drop and it'll be worse. So.
We should all play it opening night.
I'm gonna play it. I want to see, like, and this is one of the things we talked about yesterday on stream. Was like, imagine this comes out, and it's actually fun to play, and it's like
26.
Oh,
My
so
bad, 26.
We got that trash ass trailer, and then you play the game, and then it's actually fun, and then it'd be like what Savvy said.
Marketing.
It's a failure of marketing.
Is it free to play?
It will.
I think it's going to be garbage. Hat tip, geeks and gamers, with a very timely report on Highguard and its downfall. Now, we have more grave dancing to do, because it's not just Highguard getting ratioed and AAA game developers begging for scraps. No, we have another problem, my dear chat, and that is the Supergirl test screenings are not going well. James Gunn's Supergirl by James Gunn is shaping up to be a complete disaster. Hat tip, yellow flash, roll tape.
Are you excited for Supergirl? Because I'm not. I'm not excited about it at all. It's based on a book by Tom King, who I can't stand. I think Tom King is one of the worst of the modern comic writers out there. I don't like his work. I think a lot of it is just garbage, including the book that this is based on. Now, who knows what they're going to take from that book? I don't know. I can't say because I haven't seen the movie yet. But given that they're pulling from that, and Tom King, I guess, was consulted for this, I have very, very low expectations. So we'll see what happens. This trailer honestly seems okay. Like, if you like Guardians of the Galaxy, you'll probably like this movie because it looks like Guardians of the Supergirl. But for the most part, people seem to like it. You can see here, it's got 375,000 likes to 44,000 downvotes. So for the most part, it seems like people like it. You come down here into the comments, and they're overall pretty positive. There's some criticisms in here once in a while, but for the most part, it seems pretty positive. However, some of the scoopers out there talking about test screenings are saying that the movie is underwhelming with test audiences. There's a guy that's saying that they're positive. I don't know how much I trust that guy, and we'll get to that one in a second. But we're going to start here. Supergirl test screening bombs. It was underwhelming. And this all comes from this account right here, Cryptic HD Quality. And there's two people here. One comes from Daniel Reichman, Daniel RPK, who, by the way, is very hit or miss. I don't know how much I trust that guy, to be honest. But he said a test screening for Supergirl was held yesterday, and I've heard nothing but good things from several people. Cryptic HD Quality says, yes, Supergirl had a test screening roughly 2 hours, 5 minutes, from what I've heard. Feedback was not great, but it wasn't a bad film. Some scenes shined a lot more than others. Millie is praised for her acting in the role. Lobo has 2 fights. The villain is underwhelming. Now, keep in mind, Lobo is not the main villain in.
So right there, based on the feedback from the test screening, we're looking at about a 6 out of 10 film. Is probably what we're looking at. Roughly on the level of the 2025 Superman and the Fantastic Four First Steps. Basically acceptable slop is what we're looking at here.
This movie, he's like a side fight. And he probably will be the best thing about this movie. Jason Momoa as Lobo, that's good casting, I gotta say. Like, he looks like Lobo. So I actually think that he will be quite good in the movie. And if you know Jason Momoa in these characters, he's talked about how much he likes.
Redoubt Production says Roger Moore is to James Bond as Miles Morales is to Spider-Man. Oh my God, savage! That is savage, Redoubt. That's so bad. And you know something? I agree with you. I am not a Roger Moore fan. He never struck me as believable as the character. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Miles Morales is Miles Morales. You're damn right about that, Michael Archangel.
For a long time, and how he's always wanted to play him. So this is kind of his dream role. So I expect him to like kind of nail this. I really think he will. They should have just did a Lobo show or movie or some shit. That would have been way better. I actually like to see, and that would have been in James Gunn's wheelhouse because it'd be in space and you could have this wacky space adventures. But we're getting this instead. So, thoughts here. If this movie is on the same par as Superman, and I did hate Superman. Thought it was all right. I think it holds up less the more you watch it. I've watched it 3 or 4 times now, and honestly, I start to like it less after a few more watches.
Same.
I don't hate it, though. There's a lot I like, but there's also a lot I didn't.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of problems with Superman 2025. I think up until the last 10 minutes, it's mostly a pretty good film. Until you think about it too deeply, the last like 10 or 20 minutes completely destroys and undercuts basically the entire world that James Gunn has built, because it's a terrible final act, and it solidifies Jor-El as the harem king. It's terrible.
Not a fan of the video game shit at the end, but it is what it is. Is a little bit more reliable. He's been more consistent, which is really a good sign this late in the process. And here's the thing. If the movie doesn't spark excitement and it's just okay, you don't really encourage people to go back to the theater. Say she looks like that woman from Ghostbusters 2016.
Okay, the hat tip, Yellow Flash, an excellent report. So Supergirl test screenings not going well. Not going well. Actually going basically as you would expect. Now, there is a type of fan who is going to clap like a seal no matter what. and they're what's known as a shill. And you might be thinking, I'm about to have Mr. Grizzy diagnose the shill, but you would be wrong, because we have It's a Gundam covering some of the shills that are defending Supergirl.
I won't go too deep into it. Some of you are bots, some of you are influenced by bots, and you don't know it.
It's a Gundam. He's just a piece of crap.
I just love people in glass houses throwing stones.
The Supergirl trailer dropped and I thought nothing of it. Hell, I forgot it existed. It was met with mixed reviews online. So of course, DC had to cherry pick the most positive tweets people had on Twitter. To some people, this looked like a really bad sign, because DC did the same thing with Ezra Miller in The Flash.
I'm very serious about The Flash. 9 out of 10. Really good.
DC's back, baby. DC's back.
Meanwhile, others on social media websites were making...
It's the cycle every time. It's gonna be so good. Fantastic Four First Steps, it's so good. It's the best thing ever. Then it comes out, oh, don't believe the haters, it's so good. And then like 2 months later, it's like, well, it was bad actually.
making fun of the trailer and
the lead actress, whose name I don't know and I don't care to figure out because none of this matters to me.
They were saying that she looked like Warwick Davis from the Willow reboot that Disney memory hold. Others were photoshopping Jimmy Neutron as Supergirl, and I have to admit, it's kind of on point. But I guess after DC being sold to Netflix, one of the most dystopian mergers of our lifetime,
one of at least 4,
it's clear these films need to be a hit, or else James Gunn is out on his Guardians of the Galaxy ass. Mr. Grizzle made me indirectly aware of just how hard DC was pushing this film, from flying out influencers to New York City for a Supergirl party. People whose channels move less traffic than Darkside Phil. These people were brought in to sing the praises of the film and spread the gospel of Supergirl. And frankly, I don't think this will move the needle much.
They better pray that another anime movie doesn't come out at the same time as Supergirl, or she's gonna be bodied like Superman was by Demon Slayer.
So I was lucky enough to get flown to New York to see the trailer a little bit early. So I'm filming this moments after seeing the trailer.
Oh my god, they're so disgusting.
With Millie Alcock, with director Craig Gillespie, with James Gunn.
Oh my god, they're so bought and paid for. It's pathetic. Oh, it's so pathetic.
Peter Safran. I'm also the comic correspondent for DC Studios.
I got to see this trailer a week ago. The man, the myth, the legend, Jimmy Gunn himself finally reached out to your boy after ignoring me. You can't ignore me for long, James Gunn. And I was one of the few press members selected to see the trailer.
I want to give a disclaimer that, guys, Warner Brothers actually sent me the trailer a few days early.
Earlier this week, I was lucky enough to see the Supergirl trailer just a little bit early, and I got to see it with Supergirl herself, with director Craig Gillespie, with James Gunn and Peter Safran.
This is the James Gunn Shill program, the JGSP.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
Now don't get me wrong, I've shilled products in my time, but holy hell, this level of shilling requires you to sell your very soul. It was clear that James Gunn and DC were trying to make this seem underground and punk rock.
It was an event in New York. It was so beautifully rendered. It was so beautifully made, but with an edge, with a punk rockness. This was in like a club. This felt very, very different than a Clark party. This was very Kara.
Satisfied customer posted online.
But let's be real here. Nothing says punk rock like a billion-dollar corporation and 80s music soundtracks, am I right? I tried sitting through these 10-minute plus ad spots for Supergirl.
But you two cut my wages, so it's time to clock out and toke up.
It was so good.
It was really good. I'm really excited. It's very Guardians Volume 2.
Would you guys be mad if I said it was electric? Oh!
I thought you were going to say super.
I've been excited about this movie since they first announced it.
Oh my god, I'm gonna throw up.
I was excited for Superman. You hear me? I am more excited for this movie.
Oh no. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the TV show Halo 2, Master Chief, when he played by Pablo Schreiber, aka Buttface, and he's in the hologram prostitution den. He's in the brothel for AIs. And he's crying because he's thinking about Cortana and how much he misses her. That's what this reminds me of.
You know, hi, gay.
Hell, thank God for Mr. Grizzle. He got so many clips in. Honestly, I would lose my marbles hunting all of these down and watching each one verbatim looking for little nuggets to take out. This is worse than the Wicked press tour.
You a real one.
We stand you.
And I stand you.
This movie is for the comic book girlies and gays, so y'all better start reading, okay?
You heard the raging homosexual. Supergirl is for the queer community now. There were a number of DC shill channels on YouTube defending the trailer against the Snyder Bros.
But I couldn't care less, to be honest. All these people bickering online about these stupid superhero movies are just a prelude to the future civil war that America will one day have. We, for all extensive purposes, are witnessing the Battle of Dave and Buster's in real time.
Then, my favorite movie shill of all time came in to defend Supergirl, Eric Butts. That's when I took interest in this discourse. You might remember Eric Butts from the Star Wars trailer reveal, where he wept tears of joy seeing the film that arguably killed the Star Wars franchise.
The Force truly is female.
He clapped for joy as we watched Luke Skywalker be written into a miserable old man. His blind support for anything Disney Star Wars turned him into the consumer internet meme. Here we are in present day, his Supergirl reaction trailer. Admittedly, it wasn't full of waterworks, but clearly he was enamored with what he saw. This trailer gave me the same level of euphoria I had while I was on mushrooms watching King Cobra dye his scalp black to hide his bald spot.
Somebody dyed their hair black.
Then out of nowhere, we were treated to Eric blowing James Gunn for a full 4 minutes straight.
Oh man, you almost got some real tears from me. I definitely got wet in the eyes there when you saw her in her actual suit. That looks great. That looks great.
Oh my God. What the fuck? I got wet in the eyes. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Okay, I can see...
Folks. You have to understand, it's a disease. It's a disease. They're not like us regular humans. They suffer, folks. They suffer. It's incurable, it's congenital, and the prognosis for this poor, unfortunate creature is grim.
People's comparisons to Guardians of the Galaxy, but I mean, it's a space adventure.
It was really good. I'm really excited. It's very Guardians volume.
I love the holding the lavalier mic. We talked about this last stream. Holding the lavalier mic is the most soy thing imaginable. It is... I came up with a great analogy for it. I forgot what my analogy for it is. But let's just say it's just about the lamest thing you can do in modern society. You have a lavalier mic, which is specifically designed to clip to the shirt, and you're holding it. Like it's not a lavalier mic. Oh, that was it. The analogy is the snooty aspiring novelist in a Starbucks who is writing their novel for hours on end in the Starbucks, not buying anything, with one leg crossed over the other, so that everyone will know that they are a writer working on their novel. That's the equivalent of that in the podcasting space, is holding the lavalier mic to talk. It's disgusting, and it should be illegal.
Well, I mean, just because he kind of nailed space adventure doesn't... But still, I mean, that's what the DCU needs to be. And we're going to get cosmic with it. We're going to stay on Earth with it. That looks awesome.
He said, in an attempt to give the right answer.
But I'll likely be going back to the theater a couple times on this one like I did Superman. Now I kind of want to go watch Superman. I love that movie.
Then Daddy Eric red pilled us all on social media.
It makes me feel good. I'm just thinking about Superman. It makes me feel good, but this looks great too. So yeah, 100,000% in. I hope you are too, but I know a lot of you aren't. And then I know a lot of you are either, we'll go too deep into it. Some of you are bots. Some of you are influenced by bots and you don't know it. That's just the truth of it. That's what's going on right now. Anywhere foreign people that don't like us can sow dissent and discontent.
Denial is the quintessential human reaction.
Content and argument.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
The mole is bad. It's so bad. Mole.
Stop. If you like what you like, stop letting other people think for you. Oh, well, no, I'm going to go way too deep because we've lost critical thinking.
I can think of no greater irony than the man who splooges in his pants whenever he sees a major movie trailer, believing that he isn't the bot, but everyone else is. He's not only normal...
So perfectly. Critical thinking. From a shill who claps like a seal no matter what.
He's fully cognizant, and he's never influenced by anything. But the rest of you assholes are. So there you have it. You people are sheep being tricked into not liking blockbuster summer films by billion-dollar corporations. The bots and the Indian people are socially engineering you to hate James Gunn and think that his take of DC is kind of going off the rails already and there's no hope for the future. When in fact it's so bright I've gotta wear shades.
When Supergirl started to look like another version of Guardians of the Galaxy, proceeded to weep next to Eric Butts as we prayed to our shrine in honor of James Gunn, the savior of all superhero films.
Hat tip, it's a Gundam, and now it would not be shill coverage if we neglected Mr. Grizzy, because we have Grizzy shills on Supergirl. The Supergirl shills are out in force. And it's our job to study them in hopes that we can find an inoculation for the rest of humanity so that their disease does not spread.
So I was lucky enough to get flown to New York to see the trailer a little bit early. So I'm filming this moments after seeing the trailer with Millie Alcock, with director Craig Gillespie, with James Gunn and Peter Safran. I'm also the comic correspondent for DC Studios.
You get a paycheck. You get a paycheck. You get a paycheck.
I want to thank James.
Yes, that's the quote we needed, Star Fury. Here's a quarter to go downtown and get a rat to gnaw that thing off your face. Uncle Buck. Yeah, John Candy. That was the quote.
Peter Safran, Millie Alcock, and Craig Gillespie for their time.
How much ass do I have to kiss to make partner in this damn place?
Invitations to advance screenings up to a week prior to a film's release. Interviews both in person and via Zoom call. And even access to the movie set during filming. This is the James Gunn Shill program, the JGSP, and it continues with Supergirl.
Funny enough,
You have to be impressed by the efficiency of this machine. Like this, Gunn has created a machine that launders positive criticism through shills who are dependent on access. It's pretty brilliant when you think about it.
I got to see this trailer a week ago. The man, the myth, the legend, Jimmy...
Essentially, I have to do the same thing for Galaxy Born someday. Now, the difference... Well, of course, because it'll be my property and I'll be reporting... I will be marketing it. So, of course, you just mimic that same machine that launders reactions. The difference is there will be genuine positive reaction to it. I hope. Either way, shills are easily purchased, as we've seen.
Jimmy Gunn himself finally reached out to your boy after ignoring me. You can't ignore me for long, James Gunn. And I was one of the few press members selected to see the trailer.
I want to give a disclaimer that, guys, Warner Brothers actually sent me the trailer a few days early.
Earlier this
I should. I'll buy all these shills. Wouldn't that be like the best revenge? Serve me, shill.
This week, I was lucky enough to see the Supergirl trailer just a little bit early, and I got to see it with Supergirl herself, with director Craig.
Star Fury says, I'll happily shill for Galaxy Born. I want to be Grizzied. I kind of want to be, too. It's just nothing's good anymore. You know, honestly, imagine if I had loved Avatar Fire and Ash, and I don't know if Grizzy does shills for Avatar, but, you know, just something. I'd love to just be, like, if I somehow found myself in a Grizzy video because I loved something that Grizzy thinks is crap, like Avatar maybe, I would be honored. It'd be fun. I'd have to react to it. And react to Grizzy reacting to my shill reaction. I hope someday, Stoffity, you can be a shill for Galaxy Board someday very soon. Something for the wrap-up, says Fu Man Blue. I will check it out.
SB with James Gunn and Peter Safran.
Early access to the trailer? Check. Interviews with the cast and creative team?
I was allowed to see the trailer and be part of a Q&A where we got to ask James Gunn questions about the movie.
So from there, I also got to talk to James Gunn and Peter Safran.
But I did talk to Peter Safran for quite a while and James Gunn at the event.
Check. Nothing yet, however, on anybody being invited to the movie set. I'll keep my eyes open for that. But here's a new one. A party being thrown by James Gunn in New York City.
It was an event in New York. It was so beautifully rendered. It was so beautifully made, but with an edge, with a punk rockness. This was in like a club. This felt very, very different than a Clark party. This was very Kara. And the whole event was this rad underground spot that was the biggest diehard fans of this world, all watching the trailer for the first time together. And it was presented by James Gunn and Peter Safran.
Diehard fans of this world, it's only existed for like 5 minutes. There's only been a James Gunn verse for like a few months. What are you talking about?
And who?
Dude, Netflix is buying Warner Brothers. They're going to shit can this whole thing. Gunn's not even going to be here by this time in a year or two. He's going to be gone.
Invited to this event.
And you know what? You'll be shilling for the Netflix. Dude, you know what? You know what Netflix is going to... They are 100% going to make that Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Superman movie. They are 100% going to make that. As soon as they get control of Warner Brothers, folks, you think you've seen wokeness? You think you've seen MCU? Oh my God. What they're going to do to DC, it will be breathtaking. What are they going to do to Harry Potter? Think of what Netflix is going to do to Harry Potter.
Obviously, a bunch of the shills, some, as you heard earlier, were even flown out.
Very reliable.
But also, a bunch of fans were invited, a very diverse and very weird group of James Gunn DCU fans. And surprise, surprise, they all conveniently loved this trailer.
It was so good.
It was really good. I'm really excited. It's very Guardians Volume 2.
Would you guys be mad if I said it was electric? Oh!
I thought you were going to say super.
I've been excited about this movie since they first announced it. I was excited for Superman. You hear me? I am more excited for this movie.
This movie is for the comic book girlies and gays, so y'all better start reading, okay?
Your parents must be fucking so proud.
So I guess now I can talk about it. With that aside, my overall thoughts on this trailer is I thought it was a really great teaser trailer.
What a banging first trailer. I gotta say, I freaking loved it.
This James Gunn shill program is being used to push a false positive narrative surrounding James Gunn's films and projects in his DCU, and being used in a desperate attempt to drown out all negative feedback and criticism. And it needs to be exposed.
I'm being really sincere. I really do appreciate what you guys are doing. I can't believe how smart your stuff is, how fun it is to watch, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
they're glazing everything he does. So, of course, he loves watching it.
Go fuck yourself.
These people literally hate everything.
But you just know those people are going to complain because nothing brings people together
like me.
Like complaining.
Plus, all of these people had already...
You know what? Complaining is an art form, and I am an artist. So you have a point there, sir, madam, or it, however you identify.
Decided way before the trailer came out that they weren't going to like it, so...
Yeah, and I'm sure that all of those people that went to that James Gunn shill event did not decide ahead of time that they were going to love the trailer. But that's acceptable, and you're not allowed to criticize people for that. Okay, got it.
There are certain groups out there, certain groups on this platform that want to spread a narrative. It's like, hey, we need to complain about something because everybody knows that hate clicks brings in the revenue.
It's really funny, isn't it?
You know, I wish that were true. I really do.
How you and I and people who share our opinions...
I don't want hate clicks. I want movies to be good. I wanted Avatar Fire and Ash to be great. I wanted it to be a movie that showed me something new about the world of Pandora. But it's the same slop over and over and over again. And that's the problem. There are two kinds of people in this world. There are mind-numb robots who accept the corporate drivel they are served. And then there's the rest of us that are free thinkers who are not suffering from the disease, chivalry by proxy, also known as regular humans.
Dare voice that opinion publicly are labeled the haters. And meanwhile, all the hate and anger, if you actually watch everybody's videos, is always coming from these people.
They're grifting. They are 100% grifting.
The so-called DC fans were like, she showed up and she's a drunk at the end of this. I don't know, but I don't know if people are going to like that. It's like, shut up.
You don't know
Read
the
a comic
context.
book. You don't know the context at all.
I mean, already, and then the right-wing geekosphere, I've seen so many posts in the past 24 hours. Supergirl is supposed to stand for truth, justice, and the American way. And who is this drunk? They're destroying our... I'm like, oh my God, shut the fuck up.
Never gonna happen.
No!
Or as I have another way I like to put it, this is how I like to respond to that. That guy is always the guy saying he wants the right-wing geekosphere to give up. He wants us to be dispirited. He wants us to leave the fandom. That was the same guy that said, I wish they just leave the fandom. And to that, I say...
We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender!
Alex Hormozy, entrepreneur, had a great saying. He said, you cannot defeat a competitor who is willing to suffer to succeed and will never give up. And you know something? You cannot defeat fans who are willing to suffer as long as it takes until things get better. So they cannot defeat us, my dear sailors and starnauts, because we have already suffered. And now we're taking back the culture.
Agreed. Find your fucking dick. Jesus Christ, give me a break with that nonsense.
Find your fucking dicks if you dare criticize this movie for legitimate reasons. And you and I are the ones who need to grow the fuck up.
I know some people are going to be mad because Crypto's taking a pee on the...
Yeah, seriously though, you know, not just this fat slob, John Roca, but just them in general. Why can't they just be normal? Why can't they just have a normal reaction to disagreement? Why can't they just say, a lot of people don't like this, and I think they're wrong about it? Why can't they just say that? They're the ones that make everything a political football. They make everything a political wedge issue because they are intolerant, bigoted, smug, arrogant assholes. They hate anyone who disagrees with them. They are tyrants. That's what they are. They're bullies. They're tyrants. They are intolerant of people who disagree with them. That's why they turn everything into an issue like this. It's a movie. It's a movie. People have a right to like it. They have a right to hate it, and everything in between. And this bizarre reaction that they always have to people criticizing, in my view, it reflects the reality, which is they know that they're fake. They know that they're phony. They know that they're bought and paid for. They know that they're wrong. They know that this movie is trash. That trailer was a nothing burger, and it's going to be lukewarm at best. Maybe a disaster. We'll see. Test screenings are already coming back with mediocre results. They know that they're wrong and that they're lying. And that's why they project all of this nonsense onto us. We're just minding our own business, enjoying comic books and tabletop games and RPGs as they existed for decades, minding our own business, smelly neckbeardy nerds, just trying to have a little fun. And these tyrants came along and told us there was something wrong with all of our characters and all of our favorite lines. And now somehow we're the bad guys. The culture war is a war of self-defense against fat slobs like John Roca.
Newspaper with Superman's face on it. Big deal. Grow the fuck up. It's not that big of a deal.
Thank you, Super Samarian, for saying 100, which means you agree with me. That is a wise position, sir. Agreeing with me is always in your best interest. You know why? Because I'm very rarely ever wrong. So you are on the right track, sir. Hat tip to you.
And then I know a lot of you are either, we won't go too deep into it. Some of you are bots. Some of you are influenced by bots and you don't know it.
Influenced by...
Imagine. Some of you are bots. Some of you are bots. Who the fuck watches a channel like that? Like, seriously, who's even watching this guy's channel? He thinks you're a bot. And you're like, oh, I like this guy. He's great. The captain is always wrong about Interstellar, says Starfury. That's just proof of how right I am. Because Interstellar is one of the greatest films of all time. Like, it's not even close. It's in the top 10 films of all time. In fact, just because you said that, Starfury, I have to correct the record. Here we go. If I can get it to play. Damn it. It's not playing. Mr. Producer, why won't it play? I guess I don't have that video anymore. Oh, well. But I do have this. Okay, I don't have that either. What's wrong with my videos? Why aren't they playing, Mr. Producer?
I'm telling you, this finale...
Okay, that one played. Do I have Ahsoka, 1984?
Ahsoka Tano, mystical Jedi warrior.
Okay, good. So I have that one. So how come I don't have this one, Mr. Producer? Let me see if I can re-add it. Okay. I must have deleted it and forgot I did. It's the only thing I can think of. Oh, well. We'll just settle for this one then. That's right. Darth Cat. All right, roll tape.
By bots.
That's just the truth of it. That's what's going on right now. Anywhere foreign people that don't like us can sow dissent and discontent and argument between us, that's what they're doing. I've been talking about this for like 7 years now. It's become more proven lately. There's more evidence to show it.
And yet, in those 7 years, you've produced none of this supposed evidence.
But it's like, stop. If you like what you like, stop letting other people think for you. Oh, well, no, I'm going to go way too deep because we've lost critical thinking. Okay. Hi.
Folks, when I tell you it's a disease, chivalry by proxy, when I tell you there's something wrong with them, I rest my case. I rest my case.
You're a freak.
Why would any normal person want to be a part of this fandom?
My God!
So the narrative here is, who cares if it feels like Guardians of the Galaxy? Who cares if James Gunn's making the same movie all over again? Because those movies were good.
People are saying that it looks like Guardians of the Galaxy in a negative way. When all of a sudden did Guardians of the Galaxy become not popular?
Does it feel a little Guardians of the Galaxy? Sure, yeah, but what's wrong with that? I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy rocks.
You know, Asmongold is so good at this, at like just disassembling this exact argument, just taking it apart. And it's when essentially what it is this is a rhetorical technique that the shills use. They deliberately misunderstand the critique. They deliberately misunderstand what someone is saying. Oh, what's wrong with it being like Guardians of the Galaxy? They're not saying there's anything wrong with it being like Guardians of the Galaxy. They're saying that there's something wrong with it just being a repetitive repeat of Guardians of the Galaxy. They're saying it's derivative. Do you know what that word means, Shill? Probably not. So they're deliberately misunderstanding the argument so that they can claim a gotcha.
Ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
I didn't care about the Guardians. I don't give a shit. It's a good franchise. Those 3 movies are a lot of fun, so evoking those 3 movies isn't an issue for me.
I think, unfortunately, the thing that you'll probably hear about the most online today is how it feels very Guardians of the Galaxy. But just like you said,
sure,
when you have the context of that comic book.
No, dude, that's what's so funny is that this all comes from this comic that James Gunn had nothing to do with.
And out of all the Supergirl comics to choose from, he decided to go with this one. And I think we all know why.
If you can have 10 Jurassic Park movies that are literally the same goddamn movie, or 10 Transformers movies, or 10 Fast and...
Which we're tired of those, Roka. we're sick of them. Or 10 live-action remakes of Disney classics. Yes, we're tired of slop. We're tired of the sewer pipe of sludge, as Staffiri would put it.
Furious movies are essentially the same. You can have something in the Superman saga that has the same kind of energy as something.
So because Jurassic Park, Transformers, and Fast and the Furious all feel like the same movie, therefore it's fine to make a Supergirl movie that feels like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Brilliant, brilliant! People complaining about the Guardians of the Galaxy thing is like three of the best movies that have ever been made in the last 15 years, superhero movie-wise, and you're complaining because it evokes that? Fuck is wrong with you?
There's just so much in this trailer that's comparable to Guardians. The look and feel, these guys who look like they could be part of the Ravagers. Supergirl jamming with headphones, bopping her head up and down, looking exactly like Star-Lord. You got this guy who kind of reminds me of Ronan. You got the 80s music in the trailer, and I'm sure there's probably a lot I've missed. And putting all of that together, it's not unfair or toxic to say that this feels like a Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff. And that James Gunn is starting to become one of those directors that just makes the same movie over and over again. And before you say James Gunn isn't directing, James Gunn isn't involved in this.
This is the first non-James Gunn project in the new DC.
I know James Gunn didn't direct this.
He is a credited producer on this film, which means that he is managing the entire filmmaking process.
This movie's gonna suck.
So those were the 3 most notable defenses of James Gunn's Supergirl, but fear not because there's definitely more on the way.
Thank you, James Gunn, who will never know my name or know that I exist. Thank you for showing a traumatized woman so well.
What the fuck is this?
But for now, thanks for watching.
That was perfect. What the fuck? You know, I will never understand this with superhero women. I will never understand this stupid concept. That superhero women are somehow empowering to women. Like if I can see Supergirl or Wonder Woman using superhuman strength to lift a car, that's empowering to a woman. It's fantasy. It's fantasy. It's fictional. Superman can be inspiring to a male audience on the level of like he does the right thing, he intervenes to protect people. That can be inspiring, but seeing Superman lift up a car is not empowering to men. Like, because it's not real. It's a fantasy. It's fake. Like, so I never understand this. I never say, oh, it's so empowering as a woman to see Scarlett Johansson as the Black Widow taking down 50 dudes like it's nothing. How is that empowering? It's not real. I'll never understand that stupid argument. So it's like, oh, thank you, James Gunn, for making a stunning and brave, traumatized superhuman woman. It makes no sense. Now, you, my dear chat, have demanded and asked for me to watch this, and the captain, as a Christmas present to you, will do exactly as you request. We're going to watch this clip. You asked for it in the Discord, which, by the way, is a good reason to like and subscribe to the Swords of Starships channel if you're enjoying this content. And in the description, you will find the permalink to join the Swords and Starships Discord, where you, too, may request clips that you want to see. So here we go, and the captain will consider them. This is the Schwarzeneggers of the Ring. Let's take a... I've never seen this, so let's take a look. All right, roll tape. This is by Sam Hughes VO is the channel. The Schwarzeneggers of the Ring.
You have only one choice. The ring must be destroyed. Then what are we waiting for? The ring cannot be destroyed, Gimli, son of Gloin, by any craft that we here possess. The ring was made in the fires of Mount Doom. Only there can it be unmade. It must be taken deep into Mordor and cast back into the fiery chasm from whence it came. One of you must do this. One does not simply walk into Mordor.
What the hell? What is this? You know what's funny? This is just reminding me how good The Lord of the Rings is, because even if you superimpose Arnold Schwarzenegger on all the characters, it's still that freaking good.
Its black gates are guarded by more than just orcs. There is evil there that does not sleep. And the great eye is ever watchful. It is a barren wasteland, riddled with fire and ash and dust. The very air you breathe is a poisonous fume. Not with 10,000 men could you do this. It is folly. Have you heard nothing Lord Elrond has said? The ring must be destroyed. And I suppose you think you're the one to do it. And if we fail, what then? What happens when Sauron takes back what is his? I will be dead before I see the ring in the hands of an elf.
This is so retarded. This is so bad. What are you doing to me, chat? Why are you subjecting me to this?
Elf! Oh, ja, das ist eine Wegkämpfe. Come on, you idiot! What are you doing? I have an idea, come on. Come on. I'm not into politics, I'm into survival.
Michael Archangel, this is dumb as hell, okay? This is really dumb.
I will take it. It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor at all. I will take it.
All right. We watched it, okay? I am going to say, Michael Archangel, thank you for that recommendation. Frodo, get to the chopper. One of them said it's not a... yeah, I know. It's classic Arnie. All right, where is... okay, I do want to get to this one. I think this is the one we're going to close it out with. Okay, this is going to be our... we're going to close out with this one. I have been wanting to see the Critical Drinkers production hell for Cats. Let me explain something. I enjoy cats. That would be the animal. That would be, broadly speaking, all cats, but it's particularly the house cat. I'm a fan of house cats. I'm a fan of dogs. I'm a big dog lover. What I do not like is frightening fever dream films about anthropomorphic humans dressed as cats. That's nightmare fuel, and that should be killed with fire. I have to tell you, probably one of the worst ideas in filmmaking of all time was the attempt by filmmakers to adapt the Broadway musical Cats, which is itself one of the worst stage play ideas of all time, into a film. Which, I mean, it was a cataclysmic failure at the box office. It was widely regarded as one of the most heinous offenses to human sensory inputs of all time. How did it even get made? One, it will be a mystery for future civilizations to wonder about. And so it is with that in mind that I simply have got to see Critical Drinkers production hell about cats, which is, I mean, what were they thinking? Of all the what were they thinking movies in the world, this is the greatest of them all. Okay, hat tip Critical Drinker, roll tape.
Of all the cinematic calamities visited upon the human race in recent years, I don't think any of them can equal the kind of existential cosmic horror to be found in Cats. Even the absolute nightmare fuel of Snow White's dwarves couldn't begin to touch the unholy fusion of reluctant human flesh and badly rendered CGI fur that infests every single facet of this movie.
This is, I'm telling you, going all the way back to when I was a kid, watching Neverending Story and The Dark Crystal and other assorted nightmare fuel all the way to my present day. Literally nothing ever committed to film is as horrifying and dreadful to look at as these anthropomorphic cat characters. This is one of the most hideous, disgusting things I've ever seen.
It truly is an assault upon the eyes and ears, an affront to human decency, and a blight on the very face of cinema itself. But it wasn't just the visuals that sank this bloated, star-studded disaster. It was an entire cavalcade of horrible writing, electrifyingly terrible performances, cringe-inducing musical numbers.
Dude, and the thing about it that was crazy is they got every famous actor ever to get into this. They got Ian McKellen, they got Judi Dench, they got all of them. They got all these famous actors to like humiliate themselves in this thing.
Complete lack of logic, creativity, and common sense. A film so bad that it killed the career of its director stone dead and put an end to James Corden's days as a major Hollywood actor.
That's just awful. How terrible. Oh no.
There's even a famous anecdote that Andrew Lloyd Webber, the creator of the original Cats musical, was so traumatized by the experience of seeing this movie that he had to buy an emotional support dog to help him cope. Later, when he tried to fly the animal over to the States with him, the airline questioned why he needed it in the first place. His response? Look at what they did to my musical, Cats. His request was...
That can't be real. That cannot be real.
Approved immediately. But the story of how this malformed fetus of a film got forced out into the world somehow manages to be even more hilariously disastrous than the movie itself. So let's see if we can achieve something that director Tom Hooper was never able to do. Derive some kind of entertainment from Cats.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Our story begins way back in the early 1980s with the debut of Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical in London's West End. The show was a massive hit, and to this day it's somehow earned more than $4 billion worldwide.
Star Fury, how much would you have to be paid? Really, anyone in the chat. Crowbar the Skull, Fu Man Blue, Redoubt Productions, Wrangler in the chat. I almost missed Wrangler in the chat. What would you be willing to accept as payment to watch the Broadway musical of Cats? I'm just curious.
Really? Pretty soon, Hollywood jumped on it and set to work on a big screen adaptation, and leading the charge was none other than Steven Spielberg, who planned to use his new Amblimation production company to make it happen.
This movie is the absolute pinnacle of why would you do this? Why would you do this? Why? Oh my God! Even smart people in Hollywood that don't eat glue can do something really stupid.
The problem they faced is that Andrew Lloyd Webber's musicals in general, and Cats in particular, really aren't designed with film in mind. There's almost no plot to it, and what there is mostly incoherent nonsense, so the project didn't exactly move along at a blinding pace.
Yeah, look, it's not nearly as horrifying, but seeing people in these weird cat suits is still nightmare fuel. This is still horror. Why does anyone like this? Why does anyone like this?
And as it turned out, time was running out for Amblimation, who never managed to produce a hit movie. By 1995, Spielberg pulled the plug and shut down the company, moving their resources over to DreamWorks instead. Cats, for the time being at least, was dead in the water.
10 years later.
Fast forward about 20 years though, and things were a-changing. Musicals were back in vogue, and Universal Pictures were keen to jump on the bandwagon. In 2016, Andrew Lloyd Webber himself announced that a Cats movie was officially in development. Yeah, they still had the thorny problem of a film with no real plot, but let's not worry about that too much. On paper at least, Cats seemed to have all the ingredients of a box office hit. Tom Hooper, who directed the excellent King's Speech, was signed on to direct. He'd already done a big budget adaptation of Les Mis that had cleared up at the box office, so he was a natural choice for the role. Andy Blankenbuehler, the respected veteran of the stage show Hamilton, was brought on to do the choreography, and man, talk about an impressive cast list. Ian McKellen, Judi Dench, Idris Elba, even Taylor Swift were in this fucking thing. Oh yeah, and James Corden was in it too.
Oh man. Oh God. Oh man.
It might be hard to believe now, but back in the mid-2010s, Corden was still considered a hot commodity in Hollywood, so getting him on board was seen as a major selling point. The film's casting, though, was the least of their problems. For you see, Hooper was about to make a decision that would live on in Hollywood infamy and ultimately doom the entire production. The big question hanging over this movie was how to actually represent the Cats on screen.
Don't be sad, Michael Archangel. It was a small oversight. It wasn't intentional. Of course, the same question I would put to you. How much money would be required for you to sit through the Broadway production of, or I guess the stage production, I don't know, is it a Broadway show, of Cats? What would you require? Feel free to answer. After all, you are now a senior staff member aboard the ship at the ensign level.
Should they go for live action with heavy makeup, or just make them entirely animated? The stage show had solved the problem easily enough by just putting human performers in suits and prosthetics, which is fine because it's a stage show and nobody expects visual miracles from a setup like that. But just like the nonsensical storyline and the hammy musical numbers, what works on stage doesn't always translate into film. After experimenting with various combinations of makeup and full body suits and finding the results pretty disappointing, Hooper took the decision to go with a combination of live action enhanced with CGI instead. The plan was for the actors to wear skin-tight motion capture suits to perform their scenes, and then the VFX department would add in fur and tails and everything else later. Basically taking the idea of "we'll fix it in post" to its logical conclusion. Now, you might be wondering at this point, how exactly do you blend human faces and bodies into cat form and not have it look...
Oh my god. Just every shot of this movie is so horrifying. It's so hideous. This is honestly the pinnacle of the modern art form. This is like the end stage of the decay of our artistic traditions and culture.
like pure nightmare fuel? Well, if your name happens to be Tom Hooper, you don't. Right now, he had a movie to shoot, and that meant getting...
Crowbar the skull? Crowbar? You're joking. Crowbar, you're just messing with me. Crowbar says, actually, I've seen the stage play, but not in a theater on DVD. I can't believe I just admitted that. That's okay. Star Fury admitted to seeing Atlas. You know, we're all friends here. Nobody's perfect. I did go and watch 3 hours of a repeat of Avatar 2 in the form of Avatar 3 Folie à. You know, it happened. Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy that? Yeah, I can tell you right now. Fu Man says, what the fuck is wrong with you? Now, be nice, Fu Man. I wasn't trying to put anyone on the spot. I was just curious. The captain is a curious man. Wasn't trying to shame anyone for enjoying cats. I have questions, but I wouldn't shame you for it.
Prepped and ready for the most challenging roles of their careers. That's right, he was sending them to cat boot camp. Taylor Swift later said of the whole experience, "We would literally spend hours on end, barefoot and crawling on the floor, just hissing at each other." Andrew Lloyd Webber was brought in to write additional songs for the movie, but was largely shut out of the script writing process, which probably explains why he was so horrified by the end products. Hooper's insistence on recording the musical numbers live on set instead of dubbing them over later in a recording studio was also causing problems for the actors because they had no backing music to keep time to. It also contributed to the film's, unique sound.
Stop for Jones in white
All the major shooting was wrapped by April 2019.
Oh my god! You could absolutely interrogate members of ISIS with this. You just lock them in a room and play this on a loop, they'd spill their guts.
Turned over to the VFX houses to get the film ready for its December release dates. Unfortunately, this is where things really started to go wrong. 8 months is a pretty tight schedule for post-production on any movie, especially one that uses CGI in literally every...
Look. It's okay, Crowbar. You can admit you love the stage play cats. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't understand it. I don't understand anything. I don't understand why anyone likes the play. And this is a crime against humanity. This is a crime against humanity. This particular film. This was a huge mistake.
Scene. Mill Film, the VFX house that was contracted in to do most of the work, was soon overwhelmed by the sheer volume of shots that had to be rendered. Unknown to the employees at the time, the senior management had drastically underbid so that they could get the contracts.
Son of a bitch!
They were already working around the clock just to get the first trailer ready for July, and the situation wasn't helped by Hooper himself, who, according to one employee that spoke to the Daily Beast about the experience, couldn't get his head around the difference between unfinished test animations and the final product, sent constant emails to animators shitting on their work, and even demanded they watch videos of real cats doing the
Are you really? Crowbar says, I'm dressed up right now as a cat. I'm a furry. That's okay, Crowbar. That's okay. We support your life choices here. No shame to anyone's game.
things they do in the movie for reference.
The first time Star Fury was in the chat, which was episode 1 of the cat. We're on episode 147 of the Captain's Cast. Star Fury and Fu Man Blue were there for episode 1. That's how long they've been with the Captain's Cast. And the first time I read Star Fury's name, I misread it as Star Furry. So I was like, oh, Star Furry is in the chat. I have a furry fan. And then I caught it. I was like, oh, Star Fury. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm new at this.
Because, you know, cats are well known.
But anyway, that's to say that, you know, I thought Star Fury was a Star Furry right at the beginning. And that would have been just fine. I would have thought no less of Star Fury if he were Star Furry. That would have been totally fine for me. Although Star Fury is saying fucking degenerate.
For performing song and dance numbers. That same employee described him as disrespectful, demeaning, and condescending. When you go into a conference room, you're not allowed to speak, and he talks to you like you're garbage. The rendering technology was also causing headaches for the team. Apparently, the way it superimposed fur onto the actors' bodies caused it to fold over around the tail section, and there's no tactful way of putting this. It looked like assholes.
Oh, no.
How the fuck is this movie real? Which is probably a big selling point for the furry community, but for everyone else, it was practically a lawsuit waiting to happen. So a team was hastily formed to go through the movie frame by frame and digitally remove all of the cat assholes.
Oh my god. Oh my god. How is that even a thing? Can you even imagine? Someone had the sentence. Just can we just appreciate that sentence? Someone had to go and digitally remove all the cat assholes. Oh my god.
I mean, just think about that for a second. Imagine joining the film industry thinking about creating real art, and that's the task that you end up with.
You're just like, oh, damn it, you missed one. You missed a cat asshole. Oh, that is so bad. That is like one of the worst things ever. You know who we need to solve this? That's right. Darth Cat has to solve it for us. Cat Vader.
Reminds me of that poor guy who had to go through the finale of Alien airbrushing out Sigourney Weaver's pubes. If things were tense already...
Hey, you know what? I feel like that would have been a labor of love. Does anyone agree with me on that?
To get a whole lot worse when the first trailer dropped in July. I mean, how can I properly convey the reaction online? Clearly, a major rethink of the film's entire visual design was needed, which would mean delaying the release by at least a year. I mean, they did the same thing with Sonic the Hedgehog after that disastrous early trailer, a decision that absolutely saved the movie. Unfortunately, Universal Studios were unwilling to budge because missing their December release date would mean the movie couldn't be up for Oscar consideration. As if this was ever going to get a fucking...
I think the problem with this Cats movie is not just that it's uncanny valley creepy. It's many levels. It is multiple layers of Uncanny Valley creepy. It's like the size and the scale. It's that they're kind of human, but also kind of cats, but they're not cats. It's everything about it is so gross. I mean, gross.
Oscar, so the only option was to forge ahead and just hope for the best. The staff at Mill Film were now putting in 80 or even 90
Michael Archangel, shave that kitty.
work weeks, but even then it was barely enough to get it ready in time. They were still scrambling to fix dozens of wonky shots literally hours before the premiere, and even that version was still full of errors. Tails, hands, and heads became completely detached from bodies, faces weren't properly integrated into the fur layer, shadows vanished or moved of their own accord, characters would float above the ground or try to grab objects that didn't even exist. In fact, there's even a very long Reddit thread purely devoted to the film's endless visual glitches. The world had finally got to see what a Cats movie could be. And well, most of them wished they hadn't. I've never known anything so ghastly, Andrew Lloyd Webber said of the movie. I just thought, oh god, no, it was off the scale wrong. I've never...
Dude, the guy who created the stage play knows how bad it is. That should tell you something.
Seen him so upset, his wife added. The film would go on to make $75 million globally, nowhere near close to recouping the $100 million budget. Most of the stars would quietly distance themselves from the disaster in the months after its release. James Corden and Rebel Wilson even tried to make light of it at the Oscars the following year by showing up in cat costumes to present the Best VFX awards. Which, to be honest, feels like kind of a dick move to put all the blame on the animators. Yeah, the movie looked like shit, but they were working to impossible deadlines, and at the end of the day, the very concept behind this movie was so awful that even ILM couldn't have made it look good. The bigger, more established stars were able to absorb a failure like Cats because they had enough Hollywood capital to move past it, but the movie's failure blew a big old hole in James Corden's already faltering movie career. Combine that with the various other controversies and revelations coming out about him, and it would basically mark the beginning of the end of his time at the top. And what's of Tom Hooper, our not-so-intrepid director? Well, despite his best efforts, most of the blame for this film ultimately fell on him, and he was consigned to director's jail indefinitely. He's released precisely 0 movies since the Cats debacle, and that doesn't seem likely to change anytime soon. This movie really was a disaster of epic proportions, born out of a bad idea and allowed to indulge all the worst excesses of modern Hollywood. Its failure wasn't just a financial embarrassment, it was a creative slap in the face by a disgusted public. And who knows, maybe they could do with a few more before it's all over. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
And there you have it, the critical drinker. That was a good one. That was a very good one. Just nightmare fuel. The horror of it. It's the horror of it, really. Well, Merry Christmas, my dear sailors and starnauts. It's been a great year. We're probably going to do like a top 5 best and worst, probably after New Year's, I'm thinking. We're doing the Godzilla -1 watch along on Boxing Day. That would be December 26th, the day after Christmas. But in the meantime, I hope we had a little bit of fun and, have some fun on the holidays. Have a Merry Christmas. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. That's right. The captain is here to wish you a beautiful Christmas. A wonderful Christmas. In fact, Mr. Producer, I want to go out with Christmas music. That's what I want. How do I get there? How about this? Would this be copyright struck? It can't be copyright struck, can it? I don't feel like it can. I'm in. There it is.
A merry little Christmas.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thanks for hanging out with me, my dear sailors and starnauts. We had some fun. Make sure to throw a like on the video. Like and subscribe. I am your host, Captain Garrett of the Swords and Starships channel, and until next time, I'll see you out there. And thanks again, Fu Man Blue, $100 super chat. Take care.
Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us